Good evening. We're going to call to
order. Hang on. Oh, wait, somebody already started. Okay.
Yeah, I did. Good evening. It is 6:04 p.m. We're going to call to order this board and stakeholder meeting of the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. I am Vice President Chris Valle, and in attendance are our Treasurer Melanie Breck and Secretary Vic Christensen. Our President Christian Guzman is going to be absent for this meeting. And if we have any student or attendees, let me open the participants window here. No one is requesting special attention at this time. I see. We are going to move on to agenda item number 2, which is general public comment on non-agenda items. If you have such a comment.
We need to do roll call first.
Oh, that should be, oh, I'm sorry. Roll call is in there. All right. So do we have, I don't have the list.
I do. I've got it.
Okay, well, Victor, go ahead and please do the roll.
John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. John DeMiglio.
Here.
Dan Dixon.
Here.
Craig Goldfarb.
Here.
Cynthia Gagne. You're muted. Unmute.
Here.
Christian Guzman is excused. Gwen Henry.
Here.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Alec Norman. I know I saw him.
A little louder, Alec.
Can't hear you if you said anything.
Looks like he's having technical difficulties.
Here, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's
Very cool.
Good. Thomas Norman.
Present.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Adrianita Reyes Cruz. I do not see her. David Samperio.
Here.
Angela Sumner is excused. Chris Valle.
Here.
Okay. That is 14. We have a quorum.
Dokely then. Now,
I'm going to have to reboot because I'm having trouble with my video. This is Craig Goldfarb.
okay. Yeah, we'll have, so while Craig is doing that, item number 2 on the agenda would be general public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone who wishes to make? I see Sterlina Cerritos. Please, okay, go ahead and Sterlina.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council, community members. Thank you for having me on here. My name is Sterlina Cerritos. I am the PR director for West Cal Academy, a 501c3 community-based organization that specializes in personalized career mentoring for people of all ages and backgrounds. This announcement is a friendly reminder to the community that everyone is invited to our local free West Cal Career Pathway Workshop at the historical arcade building on 6th Street, right across from the Warner Grand Theater on June 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. And we will be promoting careers in the maritime industry. And I think this will be a great opportunity for members of the community and beyond to explore careers on either sea or shore. This event is family friendly. Just a great opportunity to explore as well the beautiful area on 6th Street. And more information can be found on our website, westcalacademy.com, our social media channels, as well as the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council landing page. Thank you for having that information on there for the community. RSVP is strongly encouraged. The Eventbrite link can be found on our social media. It's everywhere, you can't miss it. And of course, there will be free snacks and refreshments. One more thing, this event is sponsored by the Central San Pedro Neighborhood Council. And for any questions, please email us at info@westcalacademy.com, or you can call our office number at 310-894-6814. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And do we have any other general public comments on non-agenda items? See a hand raised, and that would be Tim McCosker. Go ahead, please, Tim.
Hey, y'all. Good evening. Hope everybody's well. I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity with Connie on Saturday night to go to Encanto that y'all sponsored. And it was really, really, really great. It's so great post-pandemic, or hopefully we're post-pandemic or heading there, to have such a great community event. Families of all ages, including a couple without kids, Connie and I. We enjoyed seeing neighbors and enjoyed seeing many of you. So I just wanted to thank you for that great community building service.
Well, thanks for attending. Hopefully we'll do that again in the future. Do we have, looking to see if Craig was able to.
I don't see him back yet.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to pause for just a moment to give him a chance to reconnect before we proceed to officer selection. And so I guess I can make another call for any public comment on non-agenda item while we're waiting. Oh, okay, I see Melanie Lebrecq. Go ahead.
I just take this time, being we're killing time right now, to just say that John and Angela putting this event together for the movie night on Saturday, and just with all the factors of all the things coming together and the little bobbles here and bobbles there and working through all of it, they did a wonderful job, and Chris did a wonderful job. And it was great to go out and be able to do an event after 2 years. It was awesome to be out there and see so many people. We had like 150 people there. So it was amazing. And congratulations, you guys, for a great event.
You're here.
Actually, it was probably 200. Because we said it was a little over that, and we, you know, it is a big crowd. It was one of the best crowds. I mean, we covered the damn grass. So that was really good. Chris has got some great pictures, and hopefully they'll be posted and stuff. So
We have another hand up. Lori, go ahead.
Okay, I was waiting for you to call on me. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that 2 of our esteemed board members lost a parent this past month. So Thomas Norman lost his father, and John Barbera lost his mother. And I just, just wanted to acknowledge that these are tough times, and, we support, anything we can do to help your families get through these times. And I hope we'll close the meeting tonight in their honor. Thank you.
Okay, and I,
Cynthia has her hand up too.
oh, okay, go ahead, Cynthia.
Unmute though.
I just called Craig and he said he's having problems with his video still.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to wait. I'd like to give him a chance to reconnect.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said I talked to Craig and he still is having problems with his video.
No, I understand. Yeah, and I'm just saying,
that's it.
I'm not sure how much longer we can delay, but we'd like to give him a chance to reconnect.
Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, if he needs to reconnect without video, that's also fine. Well, then I suppose we can forego the youth and outreach comments later on, which would more or less cover all this. But yeah, I'd like to thank everybody, particularly John Barbera and Angela Sumner, who did a lot of the grunt work to make the Movie in the Park event. But also, the Bogdanovich staff really, they did the heavy lifting of the tables and the screen itself and all that stuff. And we just had a great turnout. People seem to be having a good time, and they expressed, real sort of appreciation and excitement to have that. So we'd like to look forward to possibly doing another event similar to that this fall. And it's just a good example of how, and this one was relatively light and kind of fluffy, but when we package these things properly and when we collaborate with other groups, I think we can really deliver. It'll give it, we can use other events as an opportunity to do a little bit more actual engagement as opposed to just entertainment, but it's an example of the kind of audience we can generate when we, put something really compelling together. So. All right, it is 6:15, so I think we're going to have to go ahead and continue with our agenda items and moving on to item number 3. It'll be officer selections. This is a vote given by the current sitting board members to select officers for the executive committee. And I believe this is done by nomination. So at this time, do we take all the nominations for all of the, I guess we're going to go by seat. So we'd start with
Go by
3.
seat.
Yeah, so at this time, do we hear any nominations for the office of president? Eliot Lebrecq,
Ray Regalado.
I second it.
and that's seconded by Kelly Miller. Cynthia? Sorry, you're muted.
Forgetting, John DeMeglio.
Okay, John DeMeglio nominated for president. Do we hear a second?
I don't know that we need a second for
Nomination? Very good.
these. I think it's just whether the nominee accepts.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, let's go in order. Ray Regalado, do you accept your nomination?
Yeah, yes.
And John DeMeglio, do you accept your nomination?
Yes.
Okay. And do we hear any other nominations for the office of president? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, would you please take the roll? Oh, I suppose you're just going to respond with the name of the candidate or the nominee that you'd like to elect.
I'm just doing a last check to see if Craig got back yet.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Do the
Okay.
Chris,
Yes, Dan.
are the nominees given an opportunity to make any statements at this time?
I think it's probably in order if
And also, Chris, doesn't Diana Nave take the role?
No, I spoke to Diana earlier today, and this was not run through elections and bylaws. According to her, that it's not necessarily done that way. Yeah, considering we'd also like to give Craig a little bit more time to return, we might like to hear from our candidates. So, John DeMeglio, would you like to make a statement about your?
Yeah, I don't have a statement. Thank you.
Oh, okay. And Ray, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I really want to thank you for nominating me. I do think that Northwest, has probably among the other neighborhood councils in the harbor area, it's very active, and there a lot of good work has been done historically through Northwest, and I'm really proud to be a part of this community. And I hope that we continue to keep our focus moving forward and doing good community-based work. And if given the opportunity, I'll certainly help in any way that I can and lead in any way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Another check here to see if Craig has been able to get back on. And I do not see him, so I believe we should move on to the role for this office. Oh, sorry, who's Lydia?
She's the minute taker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is Lydia. I'm the minute taker.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to ask for clarification that, because if you just do a vote of what name they want, first of all, for the nomination, you don't need to have a first and second, but for the motions you do. So it would be my suggestion that you make a motion to approve Ray Regalado as president, and then do the second vote box as motion to approve John DeMeglio as president. And then people pick just as they call their name, yes or no, for whichever one they want. Like you would vote on a regular item.
But I don't believe the elections have gone that way in the past, where it's done as a specific motion.
So is this, so my question then is, I just want to make sure your minutes reflect what happened. So are you saying that you're not, that you do not do a motion and second for?
Yeah, to the best of my recollection, for the officer elections in the past, we have not done them as motions. It's supposed to been the name of it.
That is the way it worked last time. We did not do a motion. We just voted for the
Okay.
person.
I'm just for clarification, just to make sure the minutes reflect what you want. Thank you.
Chris, one minor thing for the for the rest of the offices. For the rest of the offices, I would say nominations are open. And then you, once the names are given, then you say, you indicate that nominations are closed. So there is a beginning.
Whoever's
and
president takes over from here, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, that's a good point.
All right, and Gwen, go ahead.
Lydia, to your point, the first and the second is with that intent of the motion to nominate Ray and a second. So, I mean, we use that pretty much primarily as to that purpose. But we continue to nominate different individuals.
All right. So at this time.
And Chris, just so you know, Craig is back.
Oh, good. All right.
So I wanted to make one more comment. That is my point. I don't have any seconds listed. So I'm asking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we established that the second was not needed. It's just the nomination by itself. And so just to get everyone up to speed, Craig, as you reconnected, we have, I'm going to hold off on closing them since you're back in, but we've taken nominations for the office of president. So far, we've heard Ray Regalado and John DeMeglio. Would you like to nominate anyone else?
Or would you like to second?
No, we're not doing seconds. And please do not unmute yourself. Raise your hand and wait to be recognized.
No, that's fine.
Thank you. All right, at this time, nominations are closed. And so I'd like to pass it to our secretary to take the roll. And again, the nominees are Ray Regalado or John DeMeglio. Please state the name of the nominee that you'd like to elect when your name is called.
Okay, John Barbera,
Ray Regalado.
Vic Christensen, Ray Regalado, John DeMeglio.
Pass.
He's allowed to vote for himself.
Dan Dixon,
Ray Regalado.
Craig Goldfarb,
John DeMeglio.
Cynthia Gagne,
John DeMeglio.
Gwen Henry,
Ray Regalado.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Ray.
I heard that, Ray.
Ray Regalado.
Kelly Miller,
Ray Regalado.
Alec Norman,
Ray Regalado.
Thomas Norman,
Ray Regalado.
Ray Regalado,
Ray Regalado.
David Samperio,
John DeMeglio.
Chris Valle,
Ray Regalado.
we have 10 for Ray, 3 for John, and 1 abstention.
All right, and then Ray Regalado is elected to the office of President of Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Congratulations, Mr. President, and the floor is yours. If you need anything, I'll be right here.
Okay.
Where is he?
Let's go ahead and open up the nominations for the office of Vice President. I see a hand. Gwen?
I would like to nominate Chris Valle if he's interested in the role.
I accept the nomination.
Second? Oh, that's right. We don't
No.
need to.
You do not need a second.
I see John DeMaglio's hand up.
Craig, I vote for Craig. Nominate Craig.
Craig has been nominated. Maybe I should ask Chris, do you accept the nomination?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure if I was muted or not, but yeah, I do accept.
Great. Craig, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Any other hands, nominations? I'm not seeing any other hands at this time. So I will call the nominations for Vice President closed. Okay, Lydia, would you like to take the roll call?
Ray, I've been doing it if you want me to continue.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we got some hands up.
Oh, okay. I see Dan Dixon's hand. Sorry.
Has it not been traditional for nominees to make a statement if they wish to?
You're absolutely right. It's been so long since, so thank you for reminding. Chris, would you like to make a statement?
Sure, thank you. I have learned quite a lot as during my previous term as vice president. I honestly don't have the time, nor I really honestly feel I have the expertise to suggest that the office of the president would be appropriate for me. But I value the opportunity to learn and to try and assist the president as much as possible, basically to be there as support and take and receive advice as needed. So I appreciate the opportunity to move forward in that role. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Craig, would you like to make a statement?
Sure. Sure. It looks like I got muted after I was opened. Anyways, so as you all know, I've been on the board for a while. I took a 3-year hiatus and I've been back on the board. I've been on involved in various community stuff with my faith community, and I've stayed active in the community in the political arenas. So I think I can do this quite well.
Thank you, Craig. Okay, with the statements concluded, Vic, would you like to take the vote count?
Okay, John Barbera,
Chris Valle,
Dick Christensen, Chris Valle, John DeMiglio,
Craig.
Dan Dixon,
Chris Valle.
Craig Goldfarb,
Craig.
Cynthia Gagne,
Craig.
Gwen
Oh,
Henry.
I'm muted. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm okay.
I heard you. Gwen Henry,
Chris Valle.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Chris Valle.
Kelly Miller,
Chris Valle.
Alec Norman,
Chris Valle.
Thomas Norman,
Chris Valle.
Ray Regalado,
Chris,
David Semperio,
Craig Goldfarb.
and Chris Faye.
Chris Fayette.
Okay, 10 for Chris, 4 for Craig.
okay. Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the next office, and that's for the office of secretary. I see John Barbera's hand up.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Melanie, do you accept the nomination?
No, not for secretary.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean, I meant Vic. I'm sorry.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
John, would you
second that.
say, John, say it again? Start over, say it again.
Vic Christensen.
Vic,
The hair
okay.
gave it away.
Okay. Let's see. I see John DeMiglio's hand up.
Cynthia Gagne.
Cynthia. Cynthia, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay. Vic, did I ask you if you accept the nomination?
Nah, because of all the fun we were having, but yes, I do.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. Any other nominations? Not seeing any hands. So we'll close the nominations and ask for any statements. Vic, I'll give you the first opportunity, and then Cynthia.
I've been doing this job for the last year and been the Zoom administrator, either doing the minutes or making sure they get done, and sergeant at arms sometimes. So I would like to continue doing it. It's been fun and been a learning experience.
Thank you, Vic. Cynthia, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, I would. I was secretary before Vic, and I had learned a lot. I worked under a couple of different people, at least two, because Ray, you were president for a while, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with the different committee members and the committee chairman, and even with our minute taker and getting the minutes out. And I think I would like to try and do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, with the comments, statements made, well, Vic, I think it would be a little odd to ask you to take the vote. So
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Chris, would you like to do that? Do you have the list there in front of you that you can do it?
This is Lydia. I can take the votes.
You can? Okay, Lydia, why don't you? Thank
That would be
you.
better because I just don't have the, I mean, I see people, but I don't want to make sure I don't miss anyone.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Lydia, thank you. Would you do that?
No problem. John Barbera.
Vic Christensen.
Okay. Vic Christensen. Victor Christensen.
You're muted.
Yeah, it helps if I unmute. Vic Christensen.
John DeMeglio.
Cynthia Gagne.
Daniel Dixon.
Vic Christensen.
Craig Goldfarb.
Cynthia Gagne.
Cynthia Gagne.
Cynthia Gagne.
Christian Guzman.
He's absent.
Not here. Sorry. Gwendolyn Henry.
Vic Christensen.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Vic Christensen.
Kelly Miller.
Vic Christensen.
Alec Norman,
Vic Christensen.
Thomas Norman,
Vic Christensen.
Ray Regalado,
Vic Christensen.
David Semperio,
Vic Christensen.
and Christian Valle.
Vic Christensen.
That's 11-3.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Christensen. So we'll move on to the next office, and that's for the Office of Treasurer. The nominations are now open. And I see Chris's hand up.
I'd like to nominate Melanie Lebrecq.
Melanie. Melanie, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Good, thank you. Who else hand is up there? Okay.
I see no hands.
I see no hands also. Okay. So does somebody want to help me out here? Do we need to take a vote? I guess we should, just to make it official. So
You should take a vote to
Yeah.
make it official.
I agree with you. Thank you, Lydia. Vic,
Even
you
though
want-
she's not running against anyone, she could be asked to give a statement if she'd like.
What?
Good point.
That's right. Thank you, Cynthia. Melanie, would you like to make a statement?
Sure. Treasurer has just been my soft spot where I fit right in, and I really, really have become, where I've become pretty good at it. And I even asked to train other treasurers for Dunn and gotten accolades from Dunn to be involved in special groups and stuff outside of our neighborhood council, and got a rapport with Empower LA as well as the city clerk's office, where things move pretty smoothly. And that's really important to have that. And I've had no ever any discrepancies in anything that I've done. Everything comes out exact every month. And so knock on wood, I really, 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 and that's important with public money, to be efficient. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Melanie. So just to make it official, can we go ahead and take a vote count on this?
John Barbera,
Yeah, Melanie.
Vic Christensen, ditto, yes, Melanie. John DeMiglio, Dan Dixon,
Melanie Lebrecq.
Craig Goldfarb,
Melanie.
Cynthia Gagne, Cynthia Gagne,
Melanie.
Gwen Henry,
Melanie.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Melanie.
Kelly Miller,
Melanie.
Alec Norman,
Melanie Lebrecq.
Thomas Norman,
Melanie.
Ray Regalado,
Melanie.
David Semperio,
Melanie.
Chris Valle,
Melanie Lebrecq.
and that's 13 for Melanie and 1 abstention.
Okay, congratulations, Melanie. So we'll move on to the next item, and that's the second signer. We'll take nominations for a second signer. Okay, Mr. Christensen, I see your hand up.
Nominate John Barbera.
Mr. John B., do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
All right. Gwen Henry.
I'd like to nominate Vic Christensen if he's interested in the role.
Mr. Christensen, do you accept the nomination?
No, I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Gwen, for the nomination, though. Any other nominations, please? I do not see any other hands. So, Mr. John Barbera, would you like to make a statement?
No, just thank you. I've been doing it. It's a great learning experience, and I will continue to do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, so can we go ahead and take a vote count, please?
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes, me, John.
Dick Christensen, John. John DiMiglio,
I pass.
Dan Dixon,
Excuse me, John Barbera.
Craig Goldfarb,
John,
Cynthia Gagne,
John,
Gwen Henry,
John,
Melanie Lebrecq,
John,
Kelly Miller,
John Barbera.
Alec Norman,
John Barbera.
Thomas Norman,
John Barbera.
Ray Regalado,
John Barbera,
David Samperio,
John Barbera.
Chris Valle,
John Barbera.
and that is 13 for John and 1 abstention.
congratulations, Mr. Barbera.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one will open up nominations for the credit card holder. I see Gwen's hand up. Gwen?
I'd like to nominate Melanie Lebrecq if she's interested.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other hands? Any other nominations? I do not see any other hands up. So, Melanie, would you like to make another statement?
Only that the credit cards, still existing, so it'll make it much smoother to just reenact it. And so we won't be without a credit card for a while.
Okay. Well, thank you for that wonderful statement. Let's go ahead and take the vote count.
John Barbera,
Melanie,
Vic Christensen, Melanie, John DiMiglio,
Pass.
Dan Dixon,
Melanie,
Craig Goldfarb,
Melanie,
Cynthia Gagne,
Melanie,
Gwen Henry,
Melanie,
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 Kelly Miller,
Melanie,
Alec Norman,
Melanie Lebrecq.
Thomas Norman,
Melanie Lebrecq.
Ray Regalado,
Melanie,
David Samperio,
Melanie Lebrecq.
Chris Valle.
Melanie Lebrecq.
That is 13 for and 1 abstention.
Melanie, congratulations. Okay, the next set of nominations we'll take for the alternate credit card holder. Melanie, I see your hand up.
Vic Christensen,
Vic, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Any other hands up? Melanie, you could lower your hand unless you have something else you'd like to say. No? Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, I don't see any other hands up. So, Vic, would you like to make a statement?
Similar to what Melanie said about the credit card holder, I'm currently the second credit card holder, so it makes things a lot easier to just continue with the current things the way they are.
Okay, great, thank you. So with that, can we go ahead and take a vote count? And Vic, since you're nominated here, let's go ahead and ask.
I can do it.
Thank you.
John Barbera,
Vic,
Victor Christensen,
Vic,
John DeMaglio,
Pass.
Daniel Dixon,
Vic,
Craig Goldfarb, Craig Goldfarb. I'll come back to it. Cynthia Gagne,
Pass.
Christian Guzman is absent. Edwin Henry,
Vic Christensen.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Vic,
Kelly Miller,
Vic Christensen,
Alec Norman,
Vic Christensen.
Thomas Norman,
Vic Christensen.
Ray Regalado,
Vic Christensen,
David Semperio,
Vic Christensen.
Christian Baye.
Vic Christensen.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Do you want to go back to Craig?
Yes, Craig Goldfarb. But I'm gonna put as absent for the vote.
yeah, he's gone.
Okay,
His,
okay, and then, so that would be 11 yeses and 11 yeses, 0 no's, and 2 abstentions.
okay, so that takes care of our nominations. Congratulations, all the individuals who are now entrusted with the trust of the community with your office. So we'll go ahead. Oh, you know what? Something that we can't ignore is the fact that this is an agenda item, which means that we are obligated under the Brown Act to take public comment. So if there's any public comment, now's the time to raise your hands, and we'll take a minute for public comment if anyone would like to say anything. And I do not see any hands up. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is the homelessness report. Lori Jacobs, can we move Lori over to as a panelist so we can see her as she gives her report?
Done. It'll take a second to kick in. There we go.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Lori.
Oh, no, wasn't prepared. Now you see my messy kitchen. Okay. Please don't judge me. So anyway, thank you and congratulations to the new executive board. I look forward to great things this year. So I didn't get a chance to actually turn in a full report, but I want to focus on something that I think is really a top priority, and that's the eviction and tenant rights. Because some of the eviction moratoriums are going to be lifted at the end of June, UCLA put out a study that says they're expecting up to 120,000 households, not people, households, to possibly experience eviction. So we need to do everything we can to help prevent that. But more importantly, people in this boat need to know what their rights are. And I briefly touched on it at the last meeting. The flyer is now completed and being shared here. And I'd like to thank President Regalado for giving me the information on the rent stabilization program through the county, because I've added that to this. So the first place for somebody to go to If they get an eviction notice, they need to respond right away. If you delay, you're going to lose the right to have any of these resources. So Stay Housed LA, which is stayshousedla.org, is the first place to go to. Now, there are other legal tools out there. You can go to Inner City Law and other pro bono lawyers, but most of them are going to direct you right to Stay Housed LA to fill out their online form. And then they'll direct you to some legal aid. There's also the California Tenant Power Toolkit, which has some information that's of value. And a third option is the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. And this has been posted on our website, I believe. Can you scroll down or up? I want to see below. Okay. Also, if somebody at the same time as they're concerned about eviction and they may be facing homelessness, okay, here are the contacts for them to go to. If they're a single adult, go to Max Estrada at Harbor Interfaith. If they're what they call TAY, youth ages 18 to 24, okay, their contact is there. And if they're a family, they go there. And also PATH, Courtney Reed. So very important that we try and find a way to share this information. One of the concerns we have is the people that need to know this information are not online. So I asked this board to think about how can we get this information out to people, put these in libraries, community centers. I want you to think about, you know, how we could print these and get them out to help people. We're already, we don't have the homeless count numbers yet, and they've been delayed. We're not going to see them till July, but the numbers that they're projecting with evictions is beyond belief. So I implore you to please consider trying to help with this. Also, as far as what's going on, and I believe Diana's going to cover this later on, that the Best Western at First in Gaffey is going to be turned into a project home key, which is permanent supportive housing, which is great. We need to see more of that. And let's see, what else did I want to mention? You know, I guess I just want to say that as we know, this is a crisis and we can't really be ostriches and put our head in the sand. It's not pretty. It's not fun to talk about this. And it's a very complex situation. So everybody needs to do some kind of part in this, whether it's, and in fact, at the movie night, I don't know how many they collected, but John told me they got over 200 big full boxes of warm socks that we can donate, which certainly helps people experiencing homelessness. But I implore you to think about what could you do to be an agent of change, whether it be trying to find affordable housing, helping with mental health care, whatever. If you have ideas, please reach out to me. I'm glad to listen and talk about anything that we can do as a neighborhood council, as good neighbors to help people. The economy, inflation, it's tough out there. Rent increases. I guess you guys all get it. So that's it if anybody has any questions.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. And if I can, I'll just like to say that, you know, this is a situation that I think we all need to keep kind of our ear to the road to kind of hear what's going on in our communities. It's really important. We cannot afford people losing their homes, not during this time. It's just not what we do. And I think it's so important for us to make sure that if we do hear of people who are going to be losing their homes through an eviction of some type, it seems like as representatives of, you know, elected representatives of our neighborhood to this neighborhood council, we have to help them get them directed in the right on the right path. So I just want to thank Lori for this great tool that she has here. And this was not an easy thing to put together. So Lori, thank you so much for all your work on this. I appreciate it. So we'll move on to any questions. Gwen, I see your hand up.
Well, will this flyer or are there cards or anything that we could hand somebody? Because once again, it's not, people who don't have Wi-Fi are very vulnerable in this case, and this as a paper resource might be valuable. But I did have some data questions, but if you could respond on this.
Well, thank you, Gwen. As you can see, it's got my work logo on there. I put this together with the South Bay City Councils of Government, presenting it to all 16 cities that we represent, including the harbor area. We probably could create something in print cards. I'm not sure. Maybe this can be an item to add to the outreach committee, Chris, on the next agenda, because this is basically outreach to the community. And what's your data question?
Because the homeless count was actually from December, and these upcoming months are going to be a time where a lot of news is going to come in about evictions. Is there a monthly report on how many evictions have been filed for any particular region? Is that data that can be gotten on a monthly basis to give an idea of what kind of crisis you have in your own region? And as well as how many people are possibly going and trying to get services if there's an increase.
Again, great questions, Gwen. And the point in time count was actually done in February, not December. And it's a very intensive process, so they're not going to do it again until next January. Let me look into this. I'm not sure which agency would be able to track this. And then we got to look at city, county. So you basically eviction data on how many households are being evicted. And then also where are they going? If they're evicted, what's the result of that? That's what you're asking? Okay, yes. I will go to my boss and ask those good questions, and I'll put a note here that Gwen asked this. And I remember the data question you asked last month, and I don't have any better answer on that one either. Okay, I'm hoping the homeless count will provide a more in-depth data this time because of the manner in which we did them. You would have thought, since we did them with a PDA instead of a hand count, that the numbers would have been out sooner, but no, LASA's going through some extreme challenges. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen, for your questions. John, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Lori, do they have any, have they got any idea or locations for upcoming or future sites that they might be able to use throughout the LA basin here, throughout all of us?
Are you talking about sites for interim housing and or permanent housing?
Yes.
Well, that's always something that everybody that I work with is looking for. So there's a few things. You've got, there's emergency housing vouchers out there. And we need landlords who have empty units, and there are many out there, to start accepting tenants using those vouchers. But as far as interim housing, you know, they both have just as much importance, because if we keep filling up the shelters or interim housing and then we have no place to move them to, then we can't keep the cycle going. So if you ever see a property and you think that something could be built there, okay, then let me know and we can talk to developers. But they're all over the place trying to look. I know Ron Galpin has put reports out of properties in the city of LA that he thinks could be developed. It's slow going, but you've got some organizations that are trying to look a little bit outside the box. Instead of this quote of 600 to 800,000 for each new housing unit, we have to get the cost down or we're never going to get anywhere. An interesting article came out yesterday from the California Policy Lab, a group at UCLA, and they're have created what they call a predictive tool to try and homelessness prevention. So if somebody is on a list as possible eviction, or they're getting CalFresh or some type of aid, okay, but they haven't become homeless, this is some tool to get outreach to them before they become homeless. I reached out to this organization based on this article in the Times yesterday, and they're actually going to come speak at our group, our task force group, on July 6th. So, John, I can't really answer your question except that land is tough to find. We need to build up because we don't have room to build out. if anybody sees a potential parking lot, a strip mall that's closing, a Bode community, I forgot the name of the company, that's building the supportive housing on Beacon Street, is looking at a property on Western, but it has to go through environmental impact. And Diana Nave might be able to speak on this too.
Okay. So we'll take any other board member questions or comments first, and then we'll go to the attendees. I do see an attendee hand up, but Melanie, I see your hand. You're next. Go ahead.
Lori, what can you offer? Because I know there's been a lot of talk, and I even heard nominees for mayor talking about this, that using government buildings, refurbishing them and using them rather than building these brand new $600,000 spaces, to refurbish buildings that already exist.
Absolutely. And there really, there's a lot of groups doing this, looking at repurposing. I know they were looking at the Hawthorne Mall. The other day, I drove by the Alliance School, that Baxter School that closed. And I immediately thought, hey, it says it's, I don't know if it's for sale or for lease, but I was gonna reach out and find out maybe that inside there, office buildings.
Yeah, 'cause there's a lot of government even owned like buildings that are just sitting vacant in downtown LA and all over, that they aren't doing anything with them, and they've sat vacant for years.
And sometimes if they're dilapidated, it might be more expensive to fix them than to build something new. But these are all great ideas. You need to just, come to the CD15 working group meetings. If you see properties, share it with us. Those are being looked at. And that's a lot of what some of the Ron Galpin report, and he just put out a new report called the Housing Hub that is very, Gwen, you would appreciate it because it's very data centric. And so I don't have answers for you, except that these are a lot of good suggestions, and a lot of good people are trying to find ways to do this, to find properties, both interim housing, and then the pallet shelter, which is interim housing, in 2 weeks, Torrance, they got 40 approved that are going to be launched there, which is great. And then we have the 75 by Harbor College, but those are interim housing. They're all full all the time. We need more permanent housing. I wish I had better answers for you guys. But I really appreciate the questions and the interest.
Okay, thank you, board. Let's go ahead and take public comment. So I see one hand up, and Pat, would you like to go ahead and make your comment or ask your question?
I'll be real brief and maybe, thank you, Ray. Lori, is there anything being done with respect to the homeless kids that are in school? I've heard that there's as many as 50 homeless kids attending Dana Junior High School, for example, and that I've been wondering about, is there anybody working with the schools to maybe do after school evening programs, and maybe even cots in classrooms or in empty classrooms or something like that, and places the kids can, take a shower and so on?
You're absolutely correct, Pat. It's kind of like the hidden, people don't realize that their kids are going to school with other kids that are experiencing homelessness. The Boys and Girls Club is addressing this. You can talk to Brian Jiba and Lee Williams. So both of them are on the board for the Boys and Girls Club in San Pedro. And I briefly talked to them at an event I was at last week. And I'm going to follow up with them to see what they're doing about the students. That's the only group I know that are addressing families, but I'll research it a little bit more. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, last call for any comments. And I almost saw a hand there. We need to kind of move this agenda up. So this will be the last comment. Gwen,
Hopefully,
in the essence of time, can you make it quick and short?
Yeah, Lori, if you could send a copy of this, and hopefully it's also been translated into Spanish. I hope that that's a possibility. Thank you.
It hasn't been translated to Spanish, but it's in your agenda packet. But I can email it to everybody too. Thank you, Gwen. You can take me off being panelist now.
Okay, we have permission to take her off as a panelist, and we'll move on to the next agenda item. And I see, let me see, where are we? We're a little bit too high. I should have printed out my agenda.
Or wait, no, elected officials and government and public.
Elected officials, elected governmental and public safety representatives. I hope we have some people there. I see Sean Kearns. Can we go ahead and?
Go ahead, Sean.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Got you.
Okay, thank you so much. Newly elected board president Regalado, and congratulations to all the newly elected officers and re-elected officers here. My name is Sean Kearns. I'm with the office of Congresswoman Nanette Diaz-Barragan. Thank you all for convening together this evening. And thank you, Laurie, for always sharing such a great update and for providing these resources to the Congresswoman's office, to other stakeholders, and to our neighbors. Just wanted to share a few updates on what the Congresswoman has been working on. So just last week, the House passed two important bills to address gun violence. One of them is the Protecting Our Kids Act. This legislation would raise the purchasing age for semi-automatic weapons from 18 to 21 years old. It would outlaw high-capacity magazines and also close the loophole for bump stocks, and so to officially ban those. The other law that was also passed was the Federal Extreme Risk Protection Orders Act, and this would allow members of law enforcement as well as family members to seek a federal court order to temporarily remove access to guns from those who pose a danger to themselves or others. You've probably been seeing on the news, the Senate looking to bring forth another version of a bill to try to address and combat gun violence. And so we're hoping that as many of these provisions that were included in the House passed bills can be included in whatever bill is negotiated between the House and Senate that moves forward. Also last week, the House passed the Water Resources Development Act. This is a biannual bill that looks at our water infrastructure, and one of the priorities that the Congresswoman advocated for, she was able to successfully secure $100 million for projects in Los Angeles County, including a study to support the restoration of the Dominguez Channel. I'm sure we all remember just last October, the intensely foul odor that occurred in the Dominguez Channel. And while much of that was related to industrial warehouse fire in the area, it also brought forth the need for long overdue restoration of this channel to occur. And so our office had worked with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the city of Carson, as well as Los Angeles County Department of Public Works to develop a proposal for a feasibility study so that eventually we can see through to restore the Dominguez Channel in a way that could potentially open up some outdoor spaces along the channel, but really most importantly, look at the health of the water flow going through there in this very industrial watershed. Also recently, the Congresswoman led a letter with Senator Alex Padilla and more than 60 colleagues in the House that would push the Environmental Protection Agency to adopt a cleaner, stronger clean truck rule. The main goals here, we need to effectively reduce nitrogen oxide and greenhouse gas emissions. But also what this letter called for was to set a higher sale requirement for zero emissions trucks. The state of California, along with 6 other states, already have pushed through legislation so that by 2030, 50% of all truck sales would need to be zero emissions, and by 2035, it would be 100% would be zero emissions. And so this letter was seeking to make it so that that would be implemented nationwide. Otherwise, what we're going to see is not only more significant changes to the supply chain as folks would look to address the different logistics centers, but also to reach our nationwide climate goals. We need to set reductions of emissions that would be nationwide. Also recently, the Congresswoman had the opportunity to submit specific projects within her district to be included within the fiscal year 2023 budget. And the Congresswoman made a couple of requests right here in San Pedro. One of them would be to modernize the family shelter operated by Harbor Interfaith over on 10th Street. This shelter currently serves about 20 families experiencing homelessness, most of which are single mothers with children. And so the funding is for some really overdue upgrades to the facility so that we can continue to serve these community members. I think they typically go there for about 90 days in which they're connected with case management and receive resources in order to gain more permanent housing. The other request that the Congresswoman made was to provide a research space for student-led research teams to study ocean-based sciences at the Alta Sea campus in San Pedro. And so each of these research spaces, laboratories, would be open to colleges, students at colleges all throughout the area. The prioritization would be given to local underserved communities, which have limited capacity for this specific type of research. So we're thinking hopefully LA Harbor College, Dominguez Hills, really as many of our local students that could be involved with that process as possible. And with that, I'll open up if anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to share with the Congresswoman.
Okay, we'll take from the council board. And Gwen, I see your hand up.
Hi, Sean. Thank you so much for that report. I'm very glad to see that. Oh, well, two questions. With the clean truck rule being submitted to the EPA, is there any interest in funding grants or some kind of financial help for independent truck drivers to meet these goals, for purchase of ZE trucks? Is there any idea on that? And then in regards to the Dominguez Channel, I'm so glad that $100 million was secured for projects like this. But the Dominguez Channel, I'm hoping that Annette Barragon's office will also take note that for the fourth time, a state bill has been sent through this being submitted. It was ignored the first 3 times. This time there's a Senate bill, I believe it's 1121, that is now submitted by State Senator Ben Allen. And Patrick O'Donnell, who had been the author of the Assembly bill, had submitted his Assembly bill for the 4th time. And it's for funding of the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, which includes the Dominguez Channel as a benefit. But at this entire area, Nanette Barragon's district would greatly benefit from this funding. And I'm hoping, because a lot of it goes through some of the most disadvantaged communities that are so needing open space, that she really start looking at this and collaborating for more open space and renaturalizing of the river. Thank you. That's it.
Sean, would you like to respond to?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your comments and questions, Gwen. The first one with regard to the letter to the EPA on the clean truck rule. That letter itself did not have any specifications regarding independent fleet owners. However, there was a request also made into the budget by the Congresswoman that would support the installation of publicly accessible EV charging stations in Wilmington on port property. It's on the east side of Wilmington, and this will be led by the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. And one of the goals with this request was to make it so that the folks who have fleets that are maybe based further away from the port would be able to charge up when they're at the port, but also so that it doesn't prioritize just the companies that have mass fleets, but that independent drivers, operators could also charge up at these locations. But that is something that we're looking toward, because we know as the transition to zero emissions occurs, and while prices will be going down, right now it is still a very expensive transition for many. And we need to make sure that our smallest businesses and independent operators aren't left behind in it. So your comments are well received, and I'll be sharing with the Congresswoman so that we could look into other ways that we could better support that group. And then these bills in the California legislature regarding funding for the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy are great. We'll have to look into the bill text a little bit closer, but I mean, overall, RMC has funded outstanding projects in the Congresswoman's district. The lower portion of the Los Angeles River covers much of the eastern boundary of her district. And I know up in the city of Southgate, we've seen them carry out a number of great projects in an area that really lacks outdoor space and access to it. And then also in North Long Beach as well. And so to see what they could contribute to the Dominguez Channel would be wonderful. And so I appreciate you bringing those to our attention, and we'll be looking into them. Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you, Gwen, for your comments and questions. The next hand I saw up was John DeMeglio, and then David Semperio. You'll be next. So John, would you like to ask your question or make a comment?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir, and Nanette's office. I appreciate you guys. You guys always do a great job. Just something to look at. The YWCA on 9th Street, and now the school being eliminated from that area where the old bowling alley was on 9th Street, from Pacific Avenue on down to almost Mesa, is a perfect spot to redevelop that. And it's in need to be redeveloped, and to have some type of homeless and battered women's shelter there, which it was used to be as the YWCA. I just wondered if there's anything happening with that. Thank you.
Hi, John. Thank you for your comments and your question. Yes, the 9th Street section that you referenced there between Pacific and Mesa, I know there's a lot of development underway, and then also a vacant lot and a vacant former school there. So I can say that over about halfway down the block, maybe even a little bit closer to the Mesa side, where the YWCA property is, they have plans for the restoration of their headquarters. I don't want to say modernize the building, because I know it's a historic building in the community, but essentially upgrade it so that it could be sustainable for the future. But also the development of transitional supportive housing to support women and children escaping domestic violence. And in last year's budget, the Congresswoman was able to secure $2 million to support the construction of that transitional housing. So hopefully we'll start seeing shovels in the ground soon over there. I think the folks at YWCA are a little bit more informative than I am on exactly when that date will happen, but it looks like at least one of those properties has a good development going on there. And then I know on 9th Street as well, on that same block, but just across the street, there's the Link housing development being constructed with affordable housing coming up, and that there will be a new community center operated by Harbor Community Health Centers that will be in the ground floor of that building. So a few great developments underway, but I know that there's also a lot of opportunities on that block that hopefully we'll be hearing some good news soon. Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, John, for the question. Next, we have David Samperio, and then Chris, your hand is up. We'll be right after David. David, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Hi, Sean. No, I just wanted to agree with Gwen Henry that if it's going to be truckers, especially independent truckers that are forced to, at some point, afford these trucks. I know from working at the ports that a lot of them are immigrants, a lot of them are first generation, but also just they're hardworking people that maybe don't want to be part of a bigger group, and it's just going to be very expensive. So I don't know if there's any kind of subsidies or something to help them, because it's going to be it's going to take a toll on that group of people. So I just wanted to echo what Gwen Henry had said earlier. The second thing, I just wanted to thank the Congressman Barragan's office. I attended a Fleet Week symposium, and I know that they honored her for her work for the Barragan bill that designated the Iowa as a National Museum of the Surface Navy. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the neighborhood council, that it was a great thing that they honored her. It's a great thing that she did for that bill that has right here, just right down the street. I think it's only either the first or second that was designated like that. So it was just a great honor to be there at that symposium, and the great things that she's doing for our community. So I just wanted to bring that up also. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions, David, and your feedback will be shared with the Congresswoman. We appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Chris, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Just briefly, I wanted, you mentioned at the beginning of your remarks about the relationship between House and Senate in terms of incorporating elements of House legislation into what might eventually become different versions, different legislations that pushes the same agenda. So is there sort of a formal process? Because I know House bills don't always or usually survive intact to the Senate floor or proceed from that point. So is this the type of relationship that a member of Congress like Congresswoman Barragan would develop, or is it that she would work in general with Senator Padilla, or is it just something that the sponsors or authors of legislation would seek out as they're trying to move these things forward?
Oh, thank you for your question, Chris. That's a great question. So while ideally we'd love to see what's within those House bills get taken up with their current language in the Senate and get passed. Often because of the makeup of the other chamber, they will pursue a different bill, and leadership from the two parties and usually the authors of the bill will come together at the negotiation to try to achieve as many common goals across the bills as possible. I certainly don't want to speak on behalf of Senator Padilla, but my guess would be that he would be in support of what's included within the House bills. I think it comes from members from other states who maybe don't have the same goals in mind when it comes to combating gun violence.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to give an opportunity now for the public to ask a question or make a comment. So any of the public have any comments? And I do not see any hands up at this time. So Sean, we're going to go ahead and move on. Thank you so much for your time and your good information. Truly appreciate it. So we'll go ahead and move on.
There seems to be a hand now.
Okay, Paul Ulmer.
Right, he's our SLO.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Let's see, can you see my face or just audio? Just trying to figure this out.
We just have audio right now. Would you like to
Okay.
be seen? We can certainly move that over for you.
Sure, that's fine. Either way.
Okay.
I can
Why
see
don't
your
we move him
faces,
over
so I
since
might as
he's-
well introduce myself visually.
Yeah,
as well.
can we move him over, Chris?
I put that in. I think it'll take a second for it to kick in, but it should be,
He's busy being moved.
here we go.
Okay, great.
There we go.
There you are.
Hello, good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you, Melanie, and John back here again. Thanks for inviting me back. So before I go into my crime stats, I'll go ahead and mention some upcoming events in the area. We have Juneteenth at Peck Park. That's going to be on the 18th. It's set to be between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Crowd estimated size is going to be 300. That's a very conservative amount. Let's see. We'll have some private security there. The same day, between 5th and 6th on Mesa, there's going to be the San Pedro Pride Parade. That's estimated to be around 600 people. There will be 13 security guards there. And we will have police also have some presence there as well. And Mary Star of the school at the high school, there will be a Cars for Our Stars event. So all the proceeds and benefits will go to Mary Star of the Sea High School. Looks like a car show of some sort. And on June 24th, we will have yet another illegal vending task force to hopefully curb the ongoing issues with the illegal vending in the area. As for our crime, some good and some bad. We are up in robberies from 1 in May 2021 to 8 May 2022. Up in burglaries, 6 2021, 11 2022. Up in GTAs from 12 to 22. Up in thefts from 9 to 15. We're down on aggravated assaults from 16 to 11, and down from burglary from motor vehicles also from 16 to 11. I did happen to drive around just today to monitor areas that have been hit hard for GTAs and burglary from motor vehicles, and a lot of windows were rolled down on cars. So I could just hopefully ask you to pass the word along to your neighbors and friends. Please lock your car doors and secure your car doors. And according to the reports, over half of all the reports taken for vehicle-related property thefts, the vehicles were unlocked and not secured. And if you have anything for me, I'll be happy to answer your question.
Thank you, Paul. We'll go ahead and I see a couple of hands up. So we'll start with Melanie, and then Gwen has her hand up also. So Melanie, go ahead.
Paul, two things.
Yes.
First, can you explain what happened at 7-Eleven today? And and then the other thing is, you're aware of this because I brought you up, but I'd like a little bit more discussion about it, about what should you suggest to do, because there's been this like realm of issues where LAPD comes out when they're on the call from dispatch, and then they're chastising the people that have called and chastising them for calling and wasting their time, or they are turning around and not doing nothing, and 3-4 calls are coming back. And this shouldn't happen. this is something that we have to fix, because if there's a phone call generated by a stakeholder or somebody in my neighborhood watch, there's a reason for it.
Absolutely.
And not chastise them for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. I've witnessed it a little bit myself, not personally, but I have witnessed other officers do that. I've heard of this on multiple occasions. It's quite troubling. There will be a CPAB meeting coming up. I could pass the word off to my supervisor and off to our captain. He would love to hear that type of feedback, specifically when it comes to patrol officers not doing their job. If you want to show up yourself to the CPAB meeting, I'll invite you all to do that as well.
That's the other thing, Paul, too. Why are they doing Facebook Live instead of the Zoom? Because it doesn't allow the public to be able to comment when they're on Facebook Live. And some people can't attend public events, because of situations with the COVID and all of that. And they do Facebook Live, and it makes it very difficult for those that are attending Facebook Live. They can't public comment. They don't take no comments from those people. Did Paul freeze?
It kind of looks like he might. Hello, Paul, you are frozen.
I'm having problems with my computer. I'm going to restart it again. This is Craig.
Okay, Craig.
I would hope that perhaps we can come back to him. I'm sure he'll restart as well. Paul?
There seems to be some sort of, in this whole area, some sort of internet snafu type thing going on right now too.
Perhaps we could go to another report if there is one. And
Yeah, it looks like he's disconnected, so maybe we can circle back, but it might be worth it to move on.
Okay, let me see. I do happen to see Octaviano on our attendees list. Octaviano, would you like to?
There, Paul's back.
Not sure what happened right there. Everybody could hear me and see me correctly, correct?
Yeah, we've got you now.
Okay. Getting back to the Facebook forum, there is a chat feature that I'm aware of. I'm not sure how active that is with an officer responding, but
Yeah,
it is there.
They aren't taking any comments, because I made comments last time.
You did? Okay.
And nothing.
Okay, my sergeant, my supervisor, Officer Bill Manlove, he's in charge of that. I'll definitely email him right after this and let him know if he could set up a Zoom as opposed to a Facebook live stream. So is everybody in the same consensus that they would like a Zoom as opposed to Facebook?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I see Gwen's hand up, and then David, you'll come back right after Gwen.
let me yield to David. I've already volunteered a lot of information.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. Does that mean you're taking your hand down? I just want to make sure.
Well, let's see if David covers the topics that I might add.
Okay, David, you're up.
No, I don't know. It's a different topic, I think. No, even though it's not necessarily in our neighborhood, it's we have on July 5th our Bloody Thursday picnic. And Officer Ulmer, if I'm getting a little pushback from one of the other SLOs, so I was wondering, because we're looking for some explorers. So I was wondering just if there's for parking, for traffic, just traffic. And so I was wondering if there's anything that you can do. Again, I know it's going to be held at Point Furman, but if there's anything that you can do just to help out, because again, we wanted to make it a great event.
Sure.
As you know, the longshoremen, and we do have a little reputation, but that's why I volunteered, so we can have a great family-oriented. So if anything you could do, I absolutely. I don't know how to contact you or you contact me, but I would definitely like any help if you could.
How many people do you expect to be there, and how many cadets are you requesting?
So it's last year at Peck Park, it was roughly 600 to 700, and it's a third. I mean, they come and go. It's not it's from 10 to 6, and we're looking for. There's 2 different shifts. They're either 4 or 5 hour shifts. One closer to the morning, one closer to the afternoon. As many as you can spare. We're looking at 8 per shift. But again, we're going to have some other agencies, Gardena Police, sheriffs. So again, we'll piece it together. But we strictly traffic, so that. And we have a traffic supervisor so things like that. So if anything you could do would be awesome.
Sure. If you want to take down my email as well, if you have a pen, I'll let you know what it is right now.
Yeah. Hold on. Actually, I use my phone.
Okay.
Okay.
It's 40007 at lapd.online.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll pass the word.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Gwen, did that take care of your question?
No, it didn't. But John DeMeglio also has a question. I will yield.
Okay, John DeMeglio, you are now up.
Okay, thank you. Hi, officer. I was just can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Just concerned about the street vending, and we have a one that popped up here on Capitol, and it's in a no parking area, and people are parking on the curb where it says no parking, and something needs to be done with that. Someone's going to get hurt there.
Are you talking about the one in front of the Target on Capitol?
Yes.
With the big red awning, or easy up, I should say?
Yes.
Okay. I know that this vending task force isn't here as often as I'd like, as you would like as well. What we could do from our side is, if we can't I can't say target, but if we can't address the illegal vendors, we could address their customers. So if there's a traffic hazard, and I've received video, and I've received pictures of people taking up that number 2 lane. So when people are making their right turn coming down Gaffey to go to Capitol, there's a big surprise of cars parked right in front of them, so they have to swerve into the number 1 lane. And yes, that's a big issue that I've realized. So the best I could do is get in touch with our watch commander and fill out an extra patrol request, so they could either assign officers in their free time to be proactive and conduct enforcement there, or assign our divisional traffic officer to sit there as he's done in the past, and just conduct traffic stops and issue citations.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, other than that, we're again, the June 24th in the evening, we'll have the county to assist, but I know that one time every 2 weeks is a drop in the bucket.
Well, I think they go there and they break it down, and then the next day they're back after hours. So
yeah,
and that's the game that it's being played, and something has to be done, because it's going to cause an accident right there. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, I'll just make a note on that. After speaking and working with Hermani, he's the supervisor for the Department of Public Health for the county. He is pretty much saying that these places, they take their food, they issue them a citation, and they're back there the next day because this is so lucrative. Them not paying taxes, them not paying for a permit, and the amount of money they make, they could take that hit, and they're aware that they aren't being issued a citation every single day. So that's just something we're going to have to work at to address.
I noticed just in the last few days, the truck drivers are starting to congregate there also, and which are bigger vehicles and stand out a little further out, and someone's going to get hurt there. I just thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, just keep emailing me so I could document this. I could also reach out to South Traffic as well. And they do task force every so often. And specifically, if you're saying bigger trucks are parked there, they like targeting those as well.
Okay, we'll move on. We got some more hands here. So Gwen, are you now ready to ask your question? And then Vic, and then Craig.
Paul, I know this is possibly something for the fire department, but if LAPD can speak on the 2 fires in Peck Park since the last report. And there was a fire right up against the freeway, the channel off ramp that was, there were 2 there as well. There was one that was a boat, and the one that was earlier, it was actually in the brush, very close to the community garden, just off the Channel Street off ramp. I'm wondering if you can comment on that, if there were any analysis made as to what were the causes of those fires. And I also, and the second topic was, are all of the programs, the outreach programs, the youth cadets and the volunteer, the community that can volunteer for the harbor department, are those active again after COVID?
Yes, they are. The cadets started up approximately a month ago, I believe, maybe 2. And we are accepting applications to volunteer at Harbor Station.
Come on.
At Harbor Station, and that officer is named Paul Andelon. He's the coordinator for all applications who wish to, all volunteers who wish to apply. As to answer your question with the fires, the boat fire is still being under investigation. The Peck Park fire, we have some people of interest that have been arrested that were actually on parole for arson. So that's an ongoing investigation. They are, I believe they're still incarcerated. So we're talking to LAFD arson investigators, and hopefully that will be sorted out quickly. But we do have some, we did interview them at the time, and they did say some statements that were good to hear. Let's just say that. I can't talk too much about the investigation, but it definitely was not just a brush fire.
Okay, thank you. Getting a lot of hands up, and we're going to be running out of time here. So Mr. Christensen, and then Craig, and then we're going to move on to the public. If there's any questions, I do see a hand up there on that side. So Vic, go ahead.
I was going to mention there's an attendee with a hand up for quite a while.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment about going back to the illegal sidewalk vendors.
Yes.
Taking their food is kind of meaningless. What you got to do is get a moving van sized vehicle out there and take their equipment. That's a lot harder to replenish than the food is. Besides deciding and stuff like that. So that would be my suggestion is, do what you're doing, but add the confiscation of the equipment as well.
Right, I could look into that. Actually, when we were out there last time with the county, that food vendor off of Westmont and I believe Amelia, he was cited and his cut fruit was taken. However, his fruit that was not cut was not taken. So I think that they've changed. I'll have to look into that and get back to you. I have your email to answer that question in more depth, but I think they changed some policies based on some Fourth Amendment possible violations.
Okay, thank you. Craig, question?
Right. Okay. Paul, I'm very concerned about the Westmont up above the Field of Dreams. There's 15 to 20 RVs parked up there with refuse. The warehouses now have taken to parking there cabs up there. Some of them are running their engines. When are you going to do something?
So I personally would like to do stuff right away. All of our senior lead officers would. If you've been listening to the city council recently, there's been some changes with RV impound laws. We were supposed to be able to impound them. There was a moratorium placed on them during COVID that has been lifted. Now, as of this morning, I was in a meeting with our homeless coordinator in downtown. DOT, Department of Traffic, is going to take lead on impounds. We cannot impound them unless it's for evidence or unless sanitation deems it specifically on a case-to-case basis a public health hazard. We cannot impound them. We have to reach out to DOT to do it first.
Can I further say something? Because I
Sure.
go up there, I take a walk there. I used to run around there, but I've stopped. And I do it at different hours during the day, in the morning, the afternoon, early evening. I've never seen a patrol car up there. I see poor police go by the strip park down there, but I've never, and it's questionable to me when I go around odd hours, odd things, never seen. I've seen the police officers go up the other side of Westmont and everything else.
Right.
I'm not seeing, and I've never seen any of the, tractor, you're addressing the RVs, but the tractor trailers are just as big a problem.
Right. So the tractor trailers, again, I could reach out to our South Traffic officer, Officer Rowe. He's a motor officer. He's a liaison for any South Traffic, South Bureau issues. So Harbor Division is one of his divisions he services. And we could go out and I'll go ahead and send him an email about that issue with the tractor trailers. Again, as for those RVs, it's a little more hands off, unfortunately, just because of the politics behind people experiencing homelessness.
Thank you. We are really running over and we have a very full agenda still with a lot of items. So I'd like to kind of put a stop on this particular thing. John, I see your hand up, but perhaps maybe you could email Officer Ulmer and with your question or comment, because we do have another report from another city department that I'd like to get in so that we can move on.
I understand, but 7-Eleven wasn't addressed.
7-Eleven
attendee.
I'll go ahead and make a note of that. So usually we get a morning report of what happened the day before. So I'll get all the details on what happened there. But as far as I know, something occurred with Lomita Sheriff's. It was a hit and run. The person ended up over there and refused to get out of the car for whatever reason.
Thank you.
I'm not sure how that ended, but I'll follow up with you after that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Officer Ulmer. I see one hand up for in the public, but I'm finding out that is actually another report from another city department. So I'm going to move along to that. Officer Ulmer, thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Looking forward to meeting you in person one day, and we'll shake hands.
Thank you, and I hope eventually I could solve everybody's issues as much as I can.
We're going to hold you to that, okay?
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, caller 462, you're up, and I understand that might be Octaviano.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for making the special accommodation to participate via phone. I'm online, but the connection keeps going in and out. So I hope the board doesn't mind me providing my report via phone. I'll go right into it. My name is Octaviano Rios. I'm with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. And I know you're running out of time here, so I'm going to try to breeze through my update, which is lengthy, but I think the meat of it, I'll email the board. Funding deadlines, just going into it, the next one is June 20th. That's the final day to make purchases with the Neighborhood Council bank card. With regards to workshops, that's coming up. There's one focused on reviewing the administrative packet, the annual budget form, which is June 23rd at 6 p.m. And then the next financial officer funding training is June 28th from 6 to 8. And that's open to not just financial officers, but also aspiring financial officers, as well as committee and stakeholders. So any of these workshops that the city clerk's office hosts, as well as most of the ones that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment holds, all of our stakeholders are welcome to attend. I do have a few items here that are mostly election related. If you received our May 25th department email newsletter, you would have received what I'm about to go into. So the 2022-2023 Neighborhood Council elections will be taking place starting November 2022 this year and ending June 2023. Of course, we have 99 neighborhood councils, so each one is unique in the sense that they're all going to have different election days, the opening of candidate filing their forms for candidates, as well as registering as a stakeholder to vote. So keep that in mind with those dates that will be coming up. For Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council, if you followed some of the links, your election date is now slated for Saturday, April 1st, and you are Region 12. Your election administrator will be Naima Pulliam. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, Naima Pulliam, and she has an email. So any election related issue as to your election administration, you can work with her. As to promoting the neighborhood council system and working with us on developing your outreach and engagement plan for your elections, you can work with not just them, but also with us mostly. So we'll be, and that leads me to the town hall that we're hosting in July 16th. If you can please make a note as a save the date. So the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is holding its election strategy development plan town hall via Zoom. So this is going to be the opportunity for all folks, including board members, to provide feedback as to what worked, what didn't work last time. Anything, any updates you'd like to share with us, any best practices you'd like to share with the system. We are collecting actively data from each of the 99 neighborhood councils on what your plans are with engagement and outreach for your elections. Let's see what else with regards to that. August 1st, the city clerk's office is asking for neighborhood councils to fill out their neighborhood council election information worksheet. That's available online as a fillable PDF form, as well as a web page that you can fill out and submit via their portal. I'll send you a link to that. It should be in that email May 25th as well. And there's also a link to the contact information to your election administrator. That concludes my report here. So I do want to congratulate the board for their annual movie at the park. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it with my family. I love to attend those, and it was a fantastic weather, but thank you for the invitation to attend. Congratulations to the newly appointed officers. Always a special thank you to those that step into these leadership roles, because it's a lot more work, sometimes thankless, but we, the department and the city hall, definitely appreciate the collaboration with these ambassadors of your neighborhood council. And last but not least, I do want to share my condolences on behalf of the department to John Barbera, Board Member Barbera, and Board Member Thomas Norman for the passing of your mom and your dad, respectively. my condolences sincerely as an individual as well as your neighbor. So hopefully you're doing well, and have a good rest of the evening, folks.
Thank you, Octaviano. Any comments from the board? Questions? Keep in mind I'm anticipating we're running way behind on our agenda. So, Mr. Chris Valle, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quickly to clarify about the election town hall. This is going to be online meeting, and is there going to be like an email or something giving specific login information, things like that?
There will be, yes. So right now we only have the date. We haven't established the time nor the Zoom link, and so everybody will be getting that on the board.
Thank you.
Okay, I see no other hands from the councils. Any questions from the audience, public? And I do not see any hands. So Octaviano, thank you very much for hanging in there. Appreciate your time and your information.
Thank you. I'll be here for the rest of the evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Okay, if I can, I'd like to move down to our next agenda item, and that is the consent calendar. We have 2 items. Item A is the approval of the minutes and for May 9th. And also item B is to remove Pat Nave from the Community Issues Committee. If we can go ahead and someone's going to have to help me. Do we need a motion from somebody to move the?
I believe that unless someone would like to have, unless someone wishes to have an item removed for separate consideration, we can vote on the passage of the entire body.
Right. So I'm wondering if we have any a motion to do it so that we can get comment.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Got it. Okay. Any comments? I see John's hands is up.
Who was the second?
Dan.
Okay.
John, I see your hand up. You got a comment?
Yeah, just one comment. Did Pat ask to be removed? Or did he ask, did he want to be?
It was by his request.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none.
See the minute taker, your hand raised.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I see that. Lydia, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to know who moved the motion.
Christensen moved and Dixon seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, Lydia, would you like to take the vote count?
Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Yes. John Barbera,
Yes.
Victor Christensen,
Aye.
John DeMeglio,
Yes.
Daniel Dixon,
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
I see an error, so I'm going to say no. I just see one, which is me being absent. I was late, but not absent. Aye.
Okay. So are you saying no?
Well, can we just get it corrected?
Corrected
then
and aye.
After the correction, if you're okay with just voting okay after it's corrected.
Wait, Gwen, you're looking at the April minutes on screen. Is that what you're referring to?
That is what I'm referring to, the April minutes.
You were absent in April, Gwen.
Was I?
Yes, you were.
You fell asleep, remember?
Me. Oh, and then, yeah, okay. Oh, we're going 2 months behind.
2 months, yes.
My mistake. Okay. Aye.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Alec Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Aye.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
David Sampiero,
Yes.
Samperio, I'm sorry. And Christian Valle.
Yes.
That's 13 yeses. 0 no's and 0 abstentions.
Great, thank you. Okay, agenda item, can we see the agenda?
Just very quickly, that's 14 yeses, not 13.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You're correct. I'm sorry.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, and those are identified as all the motions. Would it, could I just, maybe for in consideration because of time, can we, as we go through the different committee motions, can we get a brief report so that we can knock off 2 of those at the same time?
Yeah, sure. That
I'm sorry?
works.
Would that be
That
okay
will
with you
work.
all?
Yeah.
Okay, that, yeah, I'll say we'll represent it that way because this could be a very long night. And I want to be conscious of all your important time needs. So, okay, so we're going to go with the Budget and Finance Committee. Melanie, you're up.
Yeah. So as far as this goes, Vic's got his hand up because I need to check. Cynthia, did you do your funding training? Or you have training that is expired? So does Christian, and so does Vic. Who else?
John DeMiglio.
And John DeMiglio has all of his training expired.
I didn't realize it was expired.
So, okay, so nobody's done it to have certificates to submit or anything like that. So you 3 won't, well, Christian's not here, but you 2 won't be able to vote on funding matters because your training is expired. Okay, so with that being said, let's move on to, so the report was, we just did the new fiscal year budget for the Budget and Finance Committee. And that's basically the report. The MER is because our meeting was on the 1st and the report didn't generate until the 7th of the month this time. So we did not have the MER. So this needs a motion and a second for it. So this is the MER where we stand right now. We've got $9,592 at this point. And yeah, so
moved.
Second.
And that would be Gwen moved.
And Thomas.
Thomas second.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion?
I see a hand up, Thomas.
Briefly, just to thank you for the good work. Looks like a great budget. I'm in favor.
Okay. So roll call. Thomas.
Aye.
Dave Sampiero.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Victor Christensen.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
John DeMiglio. Oh, wait, you can't vote. I'm sorry. Dan Dixon.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Gwen.
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Allie, oh, Allie can't, right. Alrighty, so that's passed. Now the next thing is, this is the budget through May, because we're always a month behind. So this is May's budget. So we, Funds wise, here unallocated 143036. There's administrative funds 3,340. And there's some other funds left. Christina will send me her invoices, 2 invoices for the mailroom. And then we'll get the minute takers invoice, which will equate to about $1,000 that will come off of this. And when you move stuff around a little bit, what's left from the movie and stuff, we'll probably have between $8,000 and $9,000 to roll over. But we will not see that money until probably the end of August, September. Our other money will get July
All right.
for our new fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
So this is out of committee. So any discussion on this? Okay, so I'll call for the vote. Thomas,
Aye.
Dave Samperio,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Gwen,
Aye.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Okay, next. Now this is a biggie. Where is it? Is it at the end of this? Oh, here it is. This is our new fiscal year budget. So the first top part, we get $32,000. And the first top part, this is operational. So the operational funds are to operate our neighborhood council, like the mailroom, minute taker, audiovisual services, Zoom license, food for meetings, website hosting yearly fee, web domain fee. The reason the food and the audiovisual are back in here in the budget, we have to be ready to go if they say we can do hybrid, which is half in person, half online, or go back to in person. We need this budgeted because if we go hybrid and it doesn't happen until, say, the first of the year, this money can be moved within this realm allocated to help hybrid expenses, because we're going to need, which I'll go over in the EVG report, cameras. We're going to possibly need hotspots. So this money can be moved from like there to there, you know, within this category. So that's why they're allocated. The next allocation is for things that we do that we know for sure we're going to do. We still have to vote on it when the events come up to request the money, but they're kind of earmarked, like the parade and Candy Cane Lane. We know we're going to do those. One newsletter that we will do whenever outreach determines that they're going to do that, that's allocated, because this is an election year. So for elections, there's another newsletter allocated with elections printing and materials, $500 allocated there. Unfortunately, because it's an election year right now, all we can allocate is $3,000 for grants this year at this time. And that's our total 32,000. Now, this budget can change every month. We can change it, you know, twice a month if we needed to, or whatever. For a special meeting, if there was an emergency thing, we could change it. But this is an earmarker to get our funds for July, to send it to the city clerk and have our funds distributed to us, so we don't sit and wait to have our funds. So this is out of committee. So is there any discussion?
I see no hands.
No hands? Okay, then call for the vote. Thomas,
Aye.
Dave Samperio,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Gwen,
Aye.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Okay, and that's it for budget and finance. So next is environment and safety. Gwen.
Well, would you
Or
like
no,
to make your brief report?
public safety. Sorry, it's public safety, excuse me. But my report is just, we did the budget, that's it. That's all. We really didn't have a report other than that for budget and finance. So
Okay.
we're good. Public safety is next, so I guess I'll just continue to do that. Public safety is a little more complicated. Public safety, we had 2 meetings. We had a regular meeting and then we had a special meeting, which was this one. Because when we did the letter on number 2, everything changed on a new motion that the councilman did. So we would look pretty dumb if we kept the original letter that we did when everything changed with the motion that he did. So that's what the special meeting consisted of. And this was just, we did 2 letters, one on food vending and one on a letter for 4118, and why that's 4818, I have no idea. It's 4118. But here is the first letter. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read this. This letter is about the food vending. So one thing that Ray, mentoring me, has taught me is when you are pointing fingers at something that's not working right, you have to have solutions. And so what we drafted up were solutions to the vending issue, the food vending issue, the complaints, because the one down on Capitol and Gaffey, they're overtaking the whole sidewalk. There's no ADA compliance there. They're in the bike lane with their trash cans and everything. They're causing a public safety hazard. There's been numerous complaints about it, numerous. I've talked to the SLO several times. I've talked to the captain. I've talked to a lot of people about it, called the county. They, Victor's been involved in it too, because of the food vendor on his street across by his house. So we decided that the thing to do was, because of a stakeholder also being concerned about this, it's time to do a letter and offer solutions. So this is the letter. And basically, you know, some of the troubling things are that there's no hand washing stations, there's no improper food handling and temperature, open flames and grills, which are hazardous to residential areas, equipment and customers blocking the sidewalk, forcing pedestrians to walk in the street, cars stopping and causing traffic hazards in high trafficked areas, large amounts of trash left behind, including the proper disposal of used cooking oil and other debris, which they've been doing, dumping it into the gutter. So part of the stuff, safety codes in LA public health, which regulate the handling, including but not limited to the following, what they should do is portable water and sinks, food obtained from approved sources, proper equipment to main food.
Point of order.
Huh?
I'm a little confused here. Are we making a motion, or are we,
This is a letter. And I'm
so this is the letter that you want to make a motion on?
Yeah.
So
It's out of
is it more appropriate to make the motion?
Okay.
I mean, I thought I was, my impression was we give reports. If you're going to introduce
Okay.
a letter to make a motion on, then we should have the motion in the discussion.
You're
I'm
right,
not
Fred.
fighting you
You're
on
right.
this.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So this is out of committee. And so the motion is to approve this letter for it to go out to LA County Health. It's going to go to all of City Council and our councilmen, whoever it shall be or continue to be. And that way all the agencies have it. So again, any discussion on this? These are the things that we're asking them to adjust right here that I have up on the screen. About food carts being appropriate equipment, you know, that about the sidewalks and everything. I don't need to read it. I had this posted way ahead of time for everybody, so hoping that people would have a chance to read it. And then Dan?
Melanie, may I just say that looks excellent to me. And you're codifying in this letter exactly what the city of Los Angeles claims it is about in terms of regulating street vending. Blocking sidewalks, blocking bike lanes, pouring oil in the gutters, outrageous. The city determined at some point that this was a fine revenue stream, but they had nothing in mind as to how to organize it, how to enforce it, who to have do it. Yeah, it's a public health issue, sure, but I like this because you're asking the city to do what it insists that its citizens do. This is good.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or discussion? Okay, let's see. Thomas.
Yes, just quickly wanted to commend the work on this too. It is, having gone through it before, it's very detailed and it raises a ton of really important concerns that affect, everybody in our community. So thank you.
You're welcome. I felt it was important after all of the comments I was getting all over in the community and stuff. It was time that a letter like this was done. So call for the vote.
Any other hands? I see no other hands. So yeah, Melanie, we can go
Okay.
for a vote.
So Thomas,
Aye.
Dave Samperio,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic. Vic?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Ray,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
John Demegla, you can vote on this, just not funding.
Yeah, yes.
Craig?
Yeah.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Yes.
Gwen?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
And Chris?
Yes.
And Alec?
Yes.
Okay, so now the next one. This one's a little bit whoopsie. Where'd it go? Where's the other letter? That's not it. The other letter. Okay. There's supposed to be a second letter here. Where is it? I thought I saw it on. Oh, I know where it is. Never mind. It's my fault. It's in Word. I gotta open this back up. Sorry. Planning, public safety. There you go. Can y'all see that now? Okay,
Yes.
so this is a council filing, and to put a little background on this, this is a letter that was approved. The motion is to accept this as a council file to be sent to Councilman Boschiano and City Council. This is regarding 4118, where the signs go up where you can't have encampments within 100 feet to, they're like 500 feet to 1,000 feet, depending on what sign you do. But his motion for 4118 is to put the encampments around schools, to prohibit encampments around schools and around parks. And so what has happened is that initially we thought that a lot of our area was not covered on it. And we did a letter because it looked like all of Central and all of Coastal were, but not all of Northwest. Well, what happened is this council file, the S18, he included finally a lot of our area. in it. And so we had to redo the letter because there were some parts of our area that were left out that needed to be added to. And so these are the areas. Gaffey Street Park, that's the green belt across from Target, because that is considered a park. Leland Park, they have it listed, twisted the address. Channel Skate Park, San Pedro Community Gardens, Christian Science, Vic and Bonnie Christian Science Center, Kids Kingdom Nursery, San Pedro Adult Learning Center, Knoll Hill, and then the baseball complex. And those are the ones that we added to it to have it suggest that he put signs up for those. But this is out of committee. Is there any discussion? Gwen?
Hi, sorry. Yeah, so with our SLO's report, Craig, you see that Field of Dreams is now on the list. The 4118 signage will help LAPD to begin to act on the RVs and any other vehicles that might be up there, or any encampments. So this is a really important thing to have the signage on all these areas. And Melanie, can you touch on what areas are eligible for it? But remember also the boat that was ignited, that is close enough to Channel Park, the skate park, to also be an area where you can't park a boat or something of that nature within that area. So that's what that is. But yeah, Melanie, if you can touch on the different eligible areas for this list and how these got added.
It's parks and recs, park and schools and nurseries, basically, are the ones that are eligible for these signs, and shelters. They have it around where the Best Western would be the shelter, or around the Bridge Home, or around the Harbor Shelter. That's where they're at. That's where they're eligible for the signs. So Ray, I think your hand was next.
Thank you. First of all, Melanie, I really want to express my appreciation as to the thought that went into this, and the list seems somewhat comprehensive. If I could just share a thought as I was looking at this list, that if we, let's just say that every one of these locations were signed by the 4118 regulation, and the 4118 expiration dates all came relatively within the same time, that's going to be a lot of work to get into here and start enforcing all these different locations. And the thing that concerns me is, do we have adequate shelters and places for the people who are on the street to be able to be offered? Because essentially, if you enforce all these and we don't have the necessary shelter, will we not be just getting people moved to some other location, and then they'll be victimized over there? So I'm really concerned that I don't think we're up to speed as far as our ability to house every single one of these people, or actually see how we might be able to solve them all in one loop.
Yeah.
And if I could, this is my last comment.
Yeah.
It would seem to me that perhaps maybe a conversation with Joe's office, since he is responsible at this particular time, and if he has not been responsive to any inquiries, then perhaps maybe we need to start thinking about how we maybe bring him in and invite Joe himself into this conversation so that he can come up and help us think through how we would navigate something this large.
So can I comment back to you?
Oh, yeah,
Point of
absolutely.
order. We have other people
Okay.
that want to speak. You're
Okay,
you're
I
taking
know, I just-
multiple
wait, let
choices.
I will. I'll be right with you, Craig.
No,
I
I'm
just
not
wanted to-
saying that I want to talk. I'm saying you had your chance to talk. Everybody else gets to talk one time and then you can talk again. It's not,
all
I
right.
get to respond to everybody and discuss everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Dan?
I assume that 4118 is a way for the city to legally designate these places as being off limits for certain activities. But as we know, the city never enforces things evenly. They don't have the manpower nor the inclination to do it. But I do think it's important to get places that we are concerned about their viability for children and families and commerce. They need to be on a list that can protect them as necessary. And that's number one. Number two, the parks on this list are on it simply because they weren't on the other list, right? The
Right.
parks like Harbor Highlands and Peck are on the other list. Is that
They
right?
got added to that last thing. That's what got added all of a sudden.
Thank you.
That we got to change this.
Thank you.
David?
Yes. No, just quick question. And again, only because I'm not sure. The other locations, where could I find that at? The other locations that were already on the list, where could I find that?
I can send them to you.
Okay, that's all. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Craig?
Okay. Sorry, I'm eating a piece of cheese. So I always have problems with these because it just seems to be they're moving. So you say, oh, you can't be at the Field of Dreams, you can't be 100 yards away, but 200 yards away, it's just not. My thing is, I don't think this is the effective way of doing it. They'll say, oh, I want this area, and so they'll move 500 feet down the road. We're not solving the problem, we're just moving the problem, and it doesn't seem to be effective. They closed down the Gulch. Half those people have moved to Northwest. They're not at the skate park. They'll be up on the hill on Miraflores. It sounds good. It's not a working solution. If there's not the housing, if there's not and we've already seen that LASA and everybody else is really behind on the 8 ball and not doing it. Just doing this I just think it's grandstanding, and it hasn't had any effect. Thank you.
Gwen, because you spoke, there's somebody, I think.
You have one in the attendees and it's Lori.
Attendees. Yeah, Lori.
Hi, thank you. Couple of points. I think when we present something like this, you should always include a copy of the council file so that everybody's had a chance to understand the realm of.
Supposed to be there, didn't show up.
Okay, so
Proceeded.
that's point one. Point two, I would love if you would invite me to your meetings if you're going to be discussing something like this, because I possibly could share information. And three, I don't want everybody to fall off their seats, but I'm in agreement with Craig. And we are just moving people around here. And the enforcement, putting the sign up on the 4118 gives law enforcement the ability to ask people to move if there is shelter or housing available. And just as Craig said, okay, they currently are all full. Now for the Gulch, and also this triggers the care team to come out and do sanitation. For the Gulch, out of those like 17 people there, 4 people to my knowledge got placed in some type of interim housing. The rest dispersed and they don't know where they went. You're just moving people around. It's not addressing anything. I agree, it's grandstanding. I also understand the thought process here that if they're doing this in central San Pedro and coastal San Pedro, those people are just moving to Northwest. So now Northwest says, well, we're going to move them somewhere else. It's very frustrating. CD15 has actually designated more areas than anywhere. I will tell you this, that the care coordination teams, the outreach workers, they have a list of all the 4118 locations, specifically ones where they have several tents. And an encampment is a several tents, not individual people. And they are calling on all these people. They specifically, that's what happened at Lomita McCoy. They have areas designated, 4118 outreach workers from several different agencies. So they're out there trying to help, but we need to be thinking more long-term. And it's disappointing if you've reached out to Joe's office and he hasn't responded. I appreciate the concerns. I also know that law enforcement dealing with people who specifically have possible substance abuse and mental health issues, they see somebody with a gun, that's not going to work. We need mental health units out there in a lot of cases, and that's more towards the solutions that we need to be looking at. So I do have concerns, but people, if you're going to vote on something like this, you need to understand exactly what 4118 is designating. Just putting a sign up doesn't mean somebody can't camp there. Joe's also recently put in that you can't be anywhere near a library, near a school. There's going to be no place left, and heaven help anybody who finds themselves experiencing homelessness and you're not going to have any place to be. And if you don't have a car to sleep in, I don't know where you're going to go. Thank you.
Gwen?
Well, I mean, I kind of helped Melanie with the double check. It took 2 eyes to really do this properly. But for this council file, every council district has like 3 or 4 or 5 sheets of added locations for their council district, and it is a long list for all the council districts. We just want to, you know, part of the point was to make sure that schools were protected, and that there was signage available. I clearly, if for example with Peck Park, those fires, I believe in the last few weeks, the activity has gotten greater in Peck Park, and because it's a canyon park, there's a lot of sheltered areas. There's a lot of fuels to ignite. So it would be, I think that having the signs up allows them to take care of something like a fire hazard, or it really is too close to a school, or a boat that's been near Channel Park for 6, 7, 8 months. If once somebody reports it, it can possibly be towed away because there's no signage, or the outreach can deal with it. But of course, I mean, citywide, is it really up to us to figure out how they're going to enforce this? But at least the laundry list of 4118 areas to make it safe are up and within Northwest. Because if we don't have the 4118, we could end up with everybody coming over here because they see a loophole. So, you know.
Thank you, Gwen.
I'd like to let you know that I do see Pat Nave in attendees with his hand raised.
What?
Pat Nave has his hand raised in attendees.
Yeah, Pat has his hand raised. Pat?
Some of the items on the list are Harbor Department property and are not parks, not maintained by Rec and Parks. I don't know if it makes a difference to it. I think it probably does. And the way to handle it would be to have the court simply amend what's called their tariff to allow them to put, you know, so they can put up the signs. That would affect Gaffey Street Park, the Channel Street Skate Park, and Knoll Hill Little League.
Pat, I was told that Gaffey Street Park is a Rec and Park by LAPD.
Yeah, it's not really. It's Harbor Department property and it's maintained by Harbor Department gardeners.
Yeah. So my last note before I take the vote on this, the reason we did this letter is, as Gwen stated, is that Central and Coastal all have these signs and they're going up. And as they put these signs up and they start to multiply and more signs, we're seeing an increase in Northwest area of homeless population. And because of that, we have to be cognizant that we need some of these signs in Northwest, because these are places that children go. Children's safety is the most important, to make sure that our kids are protected and that homeless are not sleeping where our children play. And that's the reason why we need 4118 signs. David, you have your hand up?
Yes, yes. And Melanie, I do agree with you. You say that, you know, kid safety is very important. And I think all these parks and some other parks. And so, although I do see with Craig and some other people that this can be viewed as grandstanding, and I can see that also at some point, but at the same time, you're right. If all the other neighborhood councils are, in essence, sending people this way, we do have to protect kids. I think maybe it's going to force, or at least do more when these people don't have places to go. If it's enforced, because Craig is right, sometimes there's not enforced. But at least we say, hey, listen, we have all these places that are protected. We need some places for these people. And then again, it pushes that envelope. So though I do see where it could be seen as grandstanding, there has to be a first step. There has to be something to protect our neighborhood as opposed to the other two neighborhoods, right? But again, it's a very slippery, it's just, you know, it's a line where I can see both sides of it, absolutely. But I think this is good only because it protects our neighborhood with the signs. And again, whether they're enforced or not, but I think it's a good first step. And again, there's a lot of work we have to do.
Yep.
You know, like Craig and everybody that they were saying, absolutely, there's more to this. So maybe I look at it less as grandstanding or just a step to say, hey, we need more things. We need more, whatever it is, right? We need more. So again, I'm in favor of this, but I do see the other side of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all.
Chris?
Thanks. Yeah, briefly, I guess I want to concur with the folks who are saying it. In my view, it's both. That a couple of years ago now, I had a brief conversation with Council Member Buscaino about this, and he mentioned that, you know, he was looking to make to do both things, to make housing available at the same time strengthening ability to enforce, because otherwise the space that if you left space in one aspect of the problem, then the other would sort of expand to meet it. So if you made housing available, but still gave people the option of sleeping in public spaces, they might take the option to sleep in public spaces and vice versa. If you simply put enforcement in place without an option or a requirement to use available housing, then the enforcement didn't really have much purpose, and again, could be legally challenged. And so I think that while the other neighborhood councils have taken, you know, arguably a cynical approach to locking people out and forcing them to go elsewhere, at the very least, if we might have our hand forced to follow suit, but should at the same time be pushing as hard as possible to make the housing available, which is of course the end goal. That is, no one assumes that people are going to go nowhere at all, but giving individuals the option to choose wherever they want is also something like, you know, the complete free will aspect of it isn't going to work either. So we really have to push from both sides. And, you know, we have to be as vigorous in getting the housing provided as we are in, you know, getting the signs put up, which I think does exist only as a tool in specific cases. Like if there's a particularly egregious circumstance, that's one fewer set of legal obstacles for an officer to have to deal with. And I hope no one thinks that all of these places will be simultaneously enforced, which doesn't seem practical anyway. Thanks.
Just for correction, I don't think any neighborhood councils are doing this. It's the councilman that's designated coastal areas and central areas.
Sorry, yeah, I take the correction.
It's not other neighborhood councils, but anyway, Craig, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, you know, in terms of, you know, people are saying we're protecting our children. I've seen this, you know, where they move from one, you know, work downtown. There are numerous schools. In fact, I'm just down there today. So, you know, they moved the encampment and it moves down the street. The kids walk by the same place. We're not protecting our kids. The only way to protect our kids is to solve this problem. It took us a long time to get here. I mean, this has been going on for 30, 40 years. We didn't build enough housing, we didn't supply enough services and everything else. And it's not going to disappear, and you're not going to wave a magic wand and say, oh, you can't be in Gaffey Street Park anymore, and they're not going to be there. I would rather say, I would understand if we came out and said, look, you need to build the housing. You need to do the stuff. You all saw there was a Times article on the Gaffey, on the Gulch, where they talked about one of the guys that was living there, a San Pedro resident, that ended up on the street. And he didn't have housing. They didn't have even housing to offer him. They just said they did. Joe was grandstanding, and this whole effort, and I understand where everybody's saying we need to protect our kids. It sounds great, but we're not. And there's kids out there. We already know that there's kids in Dodson. I know there's good kids in Taper that are on the street. We're not protecting them.
Dan?
We're out of time. We got to do something.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm going to call for the vote on this. Thomas?
Aye.
Dave?
Yes.
John Barbera?
Yes.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
No.
John DeMeglio?
Yes.
Dan Dixon?
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb?
No.
Cynthia?
No.
Gwen?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Chris Valier?
Yes.
Alec?
No.
Okay, letter passes. So that is it. On to sustainability.
Do you have a quick report on your public safety?
Yeah, just that. We just did
That's it. Okay.
letters. Yeah. Let's see, let me stop the share so I can bring Gwen's back up. Let's see.
Does that conclude public safety?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yours is somewhere in the midst of this.
So I'll start with the motion.
Where's sustainability? Budget, public safety, and planning. Where is sustainability?
Well, while she's trying to find it, what we have is a comment letter to the Port of Los Angeles regarding certain additions to the West Harbor project. Specifically, they are proposing an amphitheater. Oh, this is the minutes. If you could get the letter up, that would be good.
You need the letter.
It is out of committee. So that there is a proposal for an amphitheater, as well as activities surrounding the amphitheater. One thing is a schedule, a very heavy schedule of fireworks. And so anyway, with that, they had requested that we come up with comments prior to the DIR starting to be developed. So that's what this is for. And I would love to yield to Pat to discuss it. Thank you, Pat, for initiating this letter.
Okay, excuse me. As Gwen said, this is kind of a preliminary stage. It's called an NOP, a Notice of Preparation. And it's a time when the applicant says, this is what we're thinking of doing, this is what we're going to study. Please comment on that. And what they have said is they're going to study the noise and the traffic and things like the plastics issue and things like that. There's been several meetings that one or more of us have attended, one in Coastal and one in Central, and then of course the sustainability meeting in the Northwest. And the concerns that were raised were fine. You're going to study the noise, you're going to study the traffic, you're going to study the plastics and whether the appropriate ground cover is astroturf or real turf, things like that. But also take a look at what the impacts are outside of the project area. You know, if you're going to have sound leakage and people are going to be camped out at or sitting out at 22nd Street or up at the town square or along the banks between Beacon and Harbor, you know, please study that too, and how you're going to regulate that, and provide services there, clean up and that sort of thing. So that's basically what this letter says. Excuse me. I think what we're probably going to see in the draft SEIR when it comes out is the first place that the consultant is going to go to is the 2009 EIR that I think probably most of us worked on. It's a massive document, and it covered a lot of the traffic concerns already, and so there may not be a whole lot that we see in areas such as traffic. And the noise, I expect we're going to probably see a lot of references to the municipal noise ordinance and also to Nederlander's experience at the Greek Theater, which is comparable sized venue. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple letter. We'll get another look at this project when the draft EIR comes out in from 6 months to a year from now. Pretty much it.
So once again, this came out of committee. Are there any other comments on the letter
Or questions?
or questions?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay, wonderful. With that, I would like to call for the vote. So who will be doing the vote?
I can do it.
Thank you.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John Dominglio,
No.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb,
Abstain.
Cynthia Gagne,
Come back to me.
Gwen Henry,
Aye.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Alec Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
I have to abstain.
David Samperio,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne.
I'm going to abstain.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 10 ayes, 1 no, and 3 abstentions.
I would like to applaud the group that came together for this letter. Many people did a lot of homework on a lot of different issues here, which will likely be elaborated upon as West Harbor, the SEIR is developed, the draft. But including John Barbera from Community Issues. So, you know, thank you all on that. This was well discussed and well studied. So let me just go on with the report. So one thing that we discussed and continues to be a point of discussion are the fires within our parks. This is our comments are going to be to defer to public safety, but so 2 tours of the park, of Peck Park, which is not just a normal grass park, but of course a natural canyon park. It has a lot of qualities like a nature preserve. There are native plants there that are native to this peninsula, and there is great hope to add to the inventory. But there was a tour immediately after the fire, as well as one just over the weekend again, of different people from the community, and actually it's a point of interest for all of San Pedro, of stakeholders all over San Pedro. But while there, one of the residents had come up with a good idea. Of course, trucks filled with water and helicopters were required to douse the park because there were no fire hydrants nearby. And there happened to be some places on the perimeter of the park that lend themselves to the city placing fire hydrants that can be accessible, very accessible in strategic locations in the park. So this is going to be a comment. I've spoken to the regional director for Reckon Park, and that's Deanne Dedman. And she's let me know that during the pandemic, of course, they took a lot of early retirements from staff. So the staff were at a very minimal level. They, as of this week and last week, they've started to take interviews. The maintenance staff will be at fully fully staffed fairly soon. I'll keep in touch with her as people are hired. But the maintenance staff actually is, and this is what came up in the 2 groups that came through, including representatives from PVPLC, which is the Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy. That there could be additional plantings of native plants, which of course will supplant and replace what was the big fuel at the park, which was grasses, non-native grasses. And of course, we had a very short rainy season. Those grasses grew and then dried out quickly. And well, let me jump forward to the issue with the grasses. So normally when you have a wildland park and you have a wildland area close to residences, there's a buffer. There's an area that is brought down and mowed. You have clearances between the trees, between the ground and the top branches of trees. It's cleared out so that if a fire does burn down here in the grasses, it doesn't catch into the canopy and burn. I don't know if any of you had seen some of the filming, but some canopies did go up because it was too overgrown. So one of the concerns with Deanne was to ensure that, try to find out a schedule of possibly doing those clearances ahead of a seasonal rainy dry period, because what they have right now is a prior to July 4th schedule for the clearances, because July 4th, with all the fireworks, that is a higher level of hazard. They have it scheduled once a year, and that's when they standardly have done it. So hopefully we can develop something to ask for funding or a discussion of budgets for parks like this, because it isn't just Peck Park, it's places like Griffith Park. Find out what they're doing in order to prevent these things. And then once again, I asked if there was interest in creating a volunteer force to help with plantings, and she said yes. The maintenance crew has always been interested in restoring native plants, which once again, by their nature, with any rainy season, They last longer. They are more that with the right selection of plants, they are fire resistant, and a whole host of other things. So that's going to be in the thing. Anyway, you can listen to the minutes. You can go and watch the minutes. I suggest you also check out the Joint Sustainability Committee. We're dealing with a lot of issues, and you'll find out a lot. The air quality sensors, that's not really a dead subject. The Port Committee had passed that resolution, and to get approvals for funding for those sensors. There have been a lot of roadblocks with that, and there actually are some possibilities for that. So we're still in discussion with that about how to maneuver around those roadblocks and get this done. So also, of course, the DWP has recently announced a shorter irrigation schedule, and we're trying to figure out ways of reaching out to the stakeholders on that. And shore power and cruise ships, there were concerns about the cruise ships not docking and plugging in, but apparently that had been miscommunication. The cruise ships were not docking per se, they were just removing crew, and they're at short periods of time, apparently. But that's that. So, and next time, be ready for a couple of motions, and hopefully we'll get those. Yeah, we've already had a committee meeting, so see you next time on a couple of items. So that's it. Oh, and we are now scheduled, so everybody knows this. We are now scheduled right after the Joint Sustainability Committee, and that's the second Thursdays, and it'll be immediately following. And so since that will always adjourn before 8 o'clock, ours is going to be a short follow-up meeting between 8 and 9. So there we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. Next committee.
Ray, I have a question for Gwen on a point of
Oh,
clarification.
I'm sorry.
Gwen, just a point of clarification about the air monitors. The resolution and the budget that was done for those is no longer good. The 501c has to submit their own budget and their own request for money. That 501c has to take over everything according to the ruling that I got from Dunn and the city clerk's office.
Correct.
And 501c has to submit it. So none of that is valid anymore. A whole new request for funding has to be submitted by the 501c3.
Okay.
Okay.
So
alrighty.
Would that go under grants then? So this would be a grant?
Yeah, this would be a grant.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty.
David, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oops.
Oh, it went mute.
You went mute.
Went
You're
mute.
I'm sorry, I thought I pressed it. I have to go to work right now. I work at 9, but I do want to apologize to the council that last month I've been burning the candle on both ends, and so even though I was present, I wasn't as present as I should have been. So I wanted to apologize for last month. I will be engaged from now on. My schedule has changed to the better from this point on, so I will be getting my rest and I will be engaged. But again, thank you guys for all the things that you guys do, but I do have to excuse myself and go to work. So thank you guys, and we'll see you hopefully before next meeting. All right, God bless you guys.
See you, David. Take care. Okay, I do not see any other hands up. So I believe we can move on to our next report and motions. And I see Diana there, so it must be planning and land use.
Aha. Diana, do you want to share the screen instead of for your own stuff?
Yeah, I will for the second one. I guess I can for the first one too, Dan. I need to find the first one. We have two motions. The first motion Dan is going to discuss, and that's the one relating to the Volunteers of America. So maybe if you could put that one up.
Okay. Is it a PDF or a Word document?
I can't tell you.
Okay, let me look.
I only wrote it. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's probably a Word document. I probably didn't convert it.
Probably Word.
Compatibility mode. No.
There it is.
That's it. You got it. You're a genius. I'd like to, we're very woefully short on time, and I'll hope you take that into account. Planning and Land Use Committee looked at supporting the effort by Volunteers of America to join the county in applying for a Home Key 2.0 grant of $23 million to purchase that fake French hotel at First and Gaffey, which has been an unlovely welcome to our neighborhood for 30 years. But it is going to go to good use now. It will be used to as transitional housing for unsheltered veterans specifically. VOA, Veterans of America, does good work. They've got projects going at the Rolling Hills Prep site, behind Rolling Hills Prep on PV Drive. They're a good organization. They have gotten together $23 million to purchase this property. It will house 70, between 60 and 70, but let's say 70 unsheltered veterans at any one time. And we're all very concerned about the cost of housing units. That pencils out to about $328,000, which is a lot of money, but it is money that will be available. It is money that will be put into a facility that will last for years. And it will provide the ability of primarily people challenged by substance abuse, mental disorders, and or chronic homelessness. They'll receive a range of services overseen by on-site case managers to assist the residents in transitioning to fully functioning in the outside world. Volunteers of America will be responsible for upkeep of the facility, interaction with the neighborhood, and attempting to reintegrate those who have served their country and need its help to navigate living in it. This is a letter of supporting this partnership in concept, and we look forward to working with VOA as it moves forward with the design and implementation of this project. The other neighborhood councils are looking at this in a similar manner. Presumably we'll forward some kind of motion or letter on their part. So this comes from committee, and I hope you will support it.
Any discussion? I see a hand up, Lori. I saw yours come up first.
Thank you. This is definitely a move in the right direction, and I like to see this. Just a couple of points. I'm not sure why it's calling it Transitional Veterans Housing. Project Home Key is actually more towards permanent supportive housing. They're putting kitchenettes in these, so they'll be eventually some of these veterans may choose to move on, but they can stay living there for as long as they want. So it really shouldn't be called transition. Just a minor point.
It was their description of it. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Clearly, an interim shelter can last for years if there isn't other housing available. And that's,
Right, well,
of course, the challenge for the
Point
rest
of order, this is not a discussion.
Thank
This
you,
is not a
Craig.
debate. We're
Thank you,
discussing.
Craig.
Go
Craig,
around.
Craig, can we just move on?
That's
Just
what I'm trying to
clarifying.
do. They're
So
having
please,
a debate here.
Let's stop, Craig. Now go
Okay,
ahead and finish the point.
if I could continue, and point of order needs to be addressed to the president, let him address it. Anyway, so
Thank you, Lori.
I just think the transitional word, not a big deal. And the other thing, to me, it's very important that we engage the community, because there are people, no matter what type of housing you're providing, okay, they're going to be against this because they think it's going to be attracting people to live outside and camp near there. So I'd like to look at some type of engagement. I mentioned this at the planning meeting to Janice Hahn, and she said, well, yeah, we're looking to the neighborhood councils to do the outreach. So being preemptive and letting the community know this is coming, I'm not sure, what manner we want to do, but I just want to make sure that people aren't blindsided and say, we didn't know that this was coming. So I just wanted to make that point. And lastly, we need to hold Volunteers of America accountable to have the case management they say they're going to have. There's been instances where that hasn't always been the case. So I'm hopeful for this and appreciate you bringing this to our attention. Thank you.
Dan, you're muted.
All of your points are well taken, Lori. Thank you. I apologize for shouting. That was unseemly and uncalled for. Thank you.
I have Melanie's hand up, and then Gwen, please, let's try to keep our comments brief so that we could, I saw your little sign there, Gwen, so let's try to keep them brief. Melanie, go ahead.
Okay, so is the Vagabond still a shelter too? That I know you're gonna get, there's gonna be a lot of pushback if the Vagabond is a shelter still, and then
No.
and then Best Western is one for the veterans, and then I can see this, and people are gonna say, where are all the hotels for the cruise terminal when the cruise people come in? Because then you'll be left with only Crown Plaza and Doubletree, which leaves everybody going to Long Beach. And I know that's going to be a big pushback.
A great point. Something that needs to be looked at. Thank you.
Gwen?
I see this as a very good fit for a military town. So for one exception, I in transitioning a hotel, which Melanie makes a wonderful point, I think this is a good fit.
Thank you. Diana, this came out of a committee, I would imagine. Can we go ahead and vote? Diana?
I got kicked off, so I'm back on. Yes, you can go ahead and vote. In the meantime, I think I have to be re-promoted to share my screen.
Okay. So,
Okay, while waiting, I'll go ahead and do the vote.
great, thank you.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio,
Yes.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Gwen Henry,
Aye.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes, and sorry, guys, I've got to go.
okay. Alec Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous with 13 ayes.
Thank you. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty here, so I think that I'm going to ask Melanie to go ahead and do the screen share. But then the next item is to consider the letter regarding sites identified for possible upzoning in Northwest San Pedro. We've previously discussed the state mandate that Los Angeles identify sites for over 550,000 new units as a part of the housing element update, and then zone them accordingly. This is going to require extensive rezoning. The city had to submit a list of potential sites for that rezoning to the state several months ago. The state then said that the actual zoning had to be completed by October, which you may remember is really virtually impossible. And this board took a position asking the city to do everything in its power to get that timeline extended. It looks like that timeline may be extended. And there will be some type of public process for gathering more input, but the specifics have not yet been determined. And how they do that is going to depend on whether or not the time extension is granted. In the meantime, what you have before you tonight is a letter to the planning department with some initial comments regarding the possible upzoning in San Pedro in general, and some specific comments with regard to Northwest. The letter points out that our San Pedro community plan already allows for nearly 48,000 more people than currently live here. It lays out the issues around the geography of San Pedro and the age of our streets, both of which create unique challenges to development. It also includes some specific comments, including a couple of places where the committee felt rezoning might be acceptable, that being the former Marymount housing on PV Drive North, since Marymount has now closed, and the former Navy property, which is located behind Rolling Hills Prep, also off of PV Drive North. The letter also notes that some of the lots identified to have 2 ADUs really don't have enough space for even 1 ADU, and that the map is misleading because some of these are really on unbuildable slopes. So those are just general comments that we wanted to make. That this is early in the process, and I'm sure there will be more comments later. So that's the motion. It was adopted unanimously by committee.
Okay, we'll take questions. Again, keep in mind our time element. Gwen, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Could you explain DB 50 designation?
It's a 50% density bonus. Right now, density bonuses are only 35%, so it would allow for more units.
Thank you.
Any other hands? Melanie.
Diana, where would they do on Capitol Drive? There's nowhere left on Capitol Drive to put anything except Target parking lot.
Oh, no. Yeah, we didn't understand that one. That's unless DB 50 includes mixed use, which if it's mixed use, then what you could do is you could build up over the stores. But we didn't understand that one. So that was a question we're asking.
Johnny's Auto Body?
Well, no, this is the shopping centers specifically.
But there's no shopping centers on Capitol. Where are they talking?
Yeah, on one side of Capitol, between Park Western and Capitol, you've got 2 shopping centers up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Any other questions? Pat, I see your hand up.
You need to unmute, Pat.
Well, the parking, the shopping center that's at the Capitol and Western that is on the north side of Capitol Drive was originally designated for 2 stories, and the developer didn't have enough money to build 2 stories there. So that, I think, is what they're thinking about for mixed use.
Well, DB 50 didn't include mixed use. That's why we asked the question.
Okay.
Actually, it does.
Okay. Gwen?
Well, with that, in denser areas of the city and in some of the other cities like Santa Monica, so Venice area, all of the former shopping, grocery stores, which are on very big properties, are being completely razed. And yes, that grocery at the bottom floor, and then levels of housing above that is what's being done across the city, especially even in Koreatown. This is what's happening. So expect grocery stores to go to an entirely different model.
Thank you, Gwen. I see no other hands up. Let's call for the vote now.
Hey, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio,
No.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb,
Abstain.
Cynthia Gagne,
No.
Gwen Henry,
Aye.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Yes.
Alec Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
That's 9 ayes, 2 nays, and an abstention. So that carries.
Thank you. I do have a few updates that I wanted to share tonight.
Will this be part of your, from your report?
Right.
Okay, great.
On the report. The first one concerns Viper Rentals, that big rental place down there on North Gaffey. I spoke with the person from Building and Safety who investigated our complaints. You may recall we sent a letter with complaints. The owners did not obtain building permits. And so the planning department didn't look at compliance with the CPIO, which of course we feel they didn't comply with. So Building and Safety issued a notice to comply. Viper has not complied, and it looks like it's going to be referred to the district attorney for a prosecution. So that'll be very interesting to see what happens. Second thing is there's a proposal for a self-storage facility on Mirror. You can leave this letter up. I'll come back to it in a minute. There's a proposal for a self-storage facility on Miraflores behind the dog park. The plans are going to be presented at the joint committee meeting this month. Third thing, and this will be of particular interest to Craig and to Ray, the area that we used to think of as belonging to the Flower Lady, at least I did, they had submitted several years ago a proposal for a lot split and track map for 921 Battery and 906 Channel, and that was recently was approved. The approval allows for 6 one-story single-family homes with 2 off-street covered parking spaces per house. And I put the track map and the conditions of approval on the planning page on our website if you're interested. The one that's what's before you relates to the proposed marketplace at Target. Remember, we sent a letter with our concerns, and the developers actually sent a response to our letter. They didn't send it to us. They sent it to the planning department. And I found out in discussing with the planning department that they'd gotten this letter. Basically, the letter simply dismisses almost all of our concerns. So this is the letter here. A copy of it was in tonight's agenda package. It's also on the planning page on our website. The city did require them to make some changes in their plans to bring them into conformance with the CPIO. And a copy of the latest plans has also been added to the website. So at our next meeting of the Northwest Planning Committee, we're going to be talking about how we want to respond in preparation for the zoning administrator hearing, which will probably be the next step. Only other thing I wanted to mention was to ask if you saw the fact that the Gaffey Street Bridge, we wrote quite a letter about the Gaffey Street Bridge that has been repaired. Although as soon as it was repaired, somebody plowed into it, and there's going to have some more repair. But they came in and did a total redo of the bridge, which was nice. And then on Peck Park, it seems like we've got 3 committees talking about Peck Park, and we maybe need to get together so we don't have 3 different. So we have more consistency in our approach on Peck Park. And that's it. So the next committee meeting is Wednesday, June 22nd. The new owner of the property where the grinder is located is going to give us an update on the development plans for that property. And we will also have a presentation on the plans, as I said, for the self-storage on Miraflores.
Thank you, Diana. Can someone let me know what's next on the agenda? I don't see it, and I don't have it here.
Our LA Virtual Governance Working Group
There you
update.
go. Melanie, the EVG working group?
So briefly, to go over what it is, EVG Working Group is working out protocols for either hybrid or in-person meetings, whichever the city decides to authorize us to do. But in the meantime, it probably isn't going to happen until after January, because part of the problem is they have to change the Brown Act. Because right now, the way the Brown Act is, if you are remote, which is what we are right now, that you have to identify your house address, where you're at on the agenda. Every person would have to identify their house address to the public. So they're changing that with the two AB 2449 and AB 1944. There's some things with those where you have to have a quorum present and not have, and then identify who's remote and the reason why they're remote. And on the agenda, you have to list who's going to be remote. And so there's a lot of things to work out. And as far as, whether you have to be on camera or not on camera, we're trying to work out those, because it'll be all up to the city and the city attorney what they say we need to do to have this all vetted out. So it's all a work in progress. Health and safety, requirements that we're going to have and all of that. So like I said, this is just an update, and there will be an update every month from now on, me letting you know where we're at in this process and where we're going with this so far. There are going to be surveys sent out, and surveys are going to go out whether or not we are ADA compliant at our facility. We are. Whether or not we have Wi-Fi at our meeting place, we do not. And that's something I'm trying to work out. Berselli is not there anymore. It's a woman named Jessica, or a young lady named Jessica is the new director there. She's talking to her supervisor about whether or not we can get Wi-Fi or hotspots. The woman up at Bogdanovich said we should be able to use hotspots in there because they have before. When she worked there before, they've used hotspots. So we may have to purchase hotspots in order to continue to meet there. But there's a lot of things to work out. They're going to send a survey out whether or not we want to be a pilot to be one of the 14 neighborhood councils that are, each commissioner, what they're proposing is select 2 neighborhood councils per their commission, I guess, or 2 or 4 or something like that. And it's going to be up to the board whether or not we want to be a pilot program or not. There's a lot of ins and outs. We have to apply, and then they'll select what neighborhood councils they select and whether or not we may fit. We may not, because right now we don't have Wi-Fi out the gate. And if you get the survey, we are ADA compliant. We have had our inspection, but we do not have Wi-Fi.
Is that it, Melanie?
That's it, Gwen.
I see one hand up. Gwen?
I would think that we would be the perfect example and testing ground, because we don't have Wi-Fi. And then on top of that, with a hotspot, as anyone knows around Peck Park, there is signal drop like you wouldn't believe. I mean, anywhere in that area, anybody who drives into the Sprouts parking lot, it drops dead. So, would that be, can that
be a problem? Because if you lose your technical connection, you have only so long to get connected again, and the meeting's done.
And that's why I think that we would make a good example, and Wi-Fi issues would be part of that process.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's up to the board, and then we would have to be selected.
Thank you for that.
All righty.
I do not see any other hands up, so we'll go ahead and move on. We've essentially done all the reports. What do we got now? Community.
CPAP hasn't yet, but it's real quick. I mean,
okay, you want to go ahead and do CPAP?
Sure. It's real quick. Like I said, it's very small. Just basically what he said, the Peck Park fire, the vendor task force, it's increasing. They identified a person who made criminal threats at the church, several neighborhood disputes. In our area, there's been a lot of neighborhood disputes, a lot. We had a couple of really serious incidents over here in Taper area, and the cops were called like 3 times in a row. So what they have now is a neighborhood prosecutor that's supposed to be doing mediation now for neighborhoods. That's his purpose, to help bring kumbaya, I guess, to neighborhoods, and that's one of his jobs, why they brought him in permanent here. And so I'm encouraging some of these neighbors that have been having some of the problems to start using the dispute resolution, you know, that's available to them. A lot of cars are, like he said, are being left unlocked, and they're saying, oh, my purse was stolen. Well, why did you leave your purse in your car overnight, you know, with your unlocked car? And so everybody just needs to not leave anything in plain sight and lock your cars, lock it up. I did not get a lot of the last part of the meeting, because when they went to public comment and the concerns being brought up again, it was Facebook Live and it was held at Wilmington. So when a lot of neighborhood councils have dual English going on, you know, dual languages, you always have a translator. But for some reason, all of a sudden the meeting turned into Spanish and there was no translator to English, and I don't speak Spanish. So it was just kind of difficult for me to be at the meeting and get anything out of it in the end, not having somebody translate what was going on to get the rest of the report. Because they met in Wilmington this last time to kind of, because they were complaining that they weren't getting fair representation. And so I think in the future, I'm recommending to CPAB that if they're going to do an all Spanish meeting, or pretty much 65 to 75% of it be Spanish, that they have a translator there for those that don't speak Spanish. Just like they do for the ones that speak Spanish at the English meeting. And that's it.
Thank you, Melanie. Any questions for Melanie? I do not see any hands, so let's go ahead and move on to,
Let's see. Go back here. This thing shut down.
We're pretty much done with the reports. So the next is liaison, if there are any for LADWP or Public Works.
Anything?
No. Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Move that we adjourn.
Second that.
Okay, so I'm hearing that perhaps maybe we just move beyond the other agenda items due to time. And
Are there another?
so, okay,
Who was the second?
That was Gwen.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? It sounds like it's unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. Next meeting is Monday, July 11th. See you all.
Thank you.
Take
To the
care.
new board members, board officers, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Night, everybody.